All right, I guess the first topic we're going to talk about is monetization in KMS and GMS. So you want to start us off with that?
All right, let me go to town first.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So essentially, monetization in we're doing that topic first.
Yeah, I just went by the order.
Oh fuck. So, as we know, the population distribution in KMS and GMS is completely different. They're polar opposite. If you go to maple.gg, they have like a statistics channel or part of the server where it shows the population distribution of players at 210 plus and players at 240 plus. So for the population of KMS, their reboot players that are 210 plus makes up for 10.8% of the population in KMS. If you were to include 240 plus players, it goes up to 14.3%. So that means, the rest of the pie is reg server in KMS. KMS's economy is like leaps and bounds ahead of GMS's, right?
Yeah,
Because
I shared
of
my
this-
screen.
this-
You should be able to see it.
Yeah, because of this, like reg server players that are free to play in KMS, they can succeed. Like they have the tools to succeed because the economy in KMS is just that good, right? Like it's actually viable for like a random free to play KMS, like the random KMS free to player. If they suddenly decide that they don't want to be free to play anymore and they just want to spend like maybe $20 on cubes and they hit big on an item, they can sell that to a whale, and that one item they sell to a whale propels them to just flourish in the game from there on, right? So monetization in KMS, it obviously includes the aesthetics, so the NX outfits that have set effects. There's the cubes, there's the pets, there's the beauty coupons, and this new addition of like this fake battle pass. So what I mean by fake is, right now we have the Starlight Symphony, and if you paid 20k NX, you could double the reward you get from doing the check-in daily, right? You cap your coins, you check in, you can, after like a week or whatever, you get an item by the end of the week. And
Mhm.
if you bought the 20k Maple point, whatever, you get double the reward, right? That's like
Yep.
Maplestory's like dipping their toes into like this little battle pass system kind of thing, right? Where players have the option to pay for more rewards, right? Now, KMS, I would say, because it's obviously reg server dominant, that means they have a wider range of people that are whales to in-betweens to just free-to-play players. But across all those players, they are very likely to spend money on the game and spend it on cubes. Okay, so keep that thought in mind. Now, when we look at GMS's numbers, right? GMS Reboot NA makes up for 55% of the population for 210 plus players. EU Reboot is 7.7%. So together, it's 62% of the population in GMS alone,
Yeah.
just for 210 plus. If we bump it up to 240 plus players, it becomes 66.6% of the player base. So that's 2/3 of the GMS player base that are Reboot players. But how does Reboot generate revenue, right? The options are the premium style boxes, the pets, like even the VAC pets as well. You still have like your beauty coupons as well. We also have like the fake battle pass kind of thing.
Mhm.
And that means for the last 33% of the pie, it's reg server players. And reg server players in GMS, it's an even smaller pool of players that are buying cubes to progress their account. The GMS market is just people buying items that are made already. It's people don't make their own gear because it's just not worth it. It's way too fucking expensive. Only whales
Yeah.
can do that, right? And speaking of whales, why do you think that KMS doesn't have like these cracked out cubes, but GMS does, and TMS does, and CMS, and so forth? MC has it too. The
Yep.
reason why these servers have these cracked cubes is because it's whale bait.
Yeah,
Those
it
are
is.
cubes that are designed just for whales, right? They're trying to bait these whales and thinking that, okay, these cubes are better. I can use these cubes to finish my gear or perfect the gear, like triple crit damage gloves. Or recently, GMS had like the equality cubes, right?
They had
there's
the uni cubes and equality cubes. They had both.
Yeah. Like whichever cube it was that like spawned these -9 cooldown hats in the reg server everywhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? But you're not gonna see like you're only going to see whales posting their hat. You're not gonna see like the in-between players or the free-to-play players with these kind of hats. So these cubes work as well baits. So with that in mind, and the fact that Reboot players makes up 2/3 of the population, I think it's safe to say that Reboot is probably still the server that generates the most revenue for the game, without a doubt. Because at every waking moment, if you have your chat bar open, there's someone rolling for pets, rolling for premium style boxes
all the time.
There's people spending like 50k and next trying to get the hair they want or the face they want.
I'm people.
Right? Exactly. So this is like the difference in monetization between KMS and GMS. KMS is like it's actually people buying cubes. They're still buying the aesthetic stuff or whatever, but cubes is like the big generator. Of course, stock forcing, but cubes. People actually buy cubes. In GMS, nobody fucking buys cubes. Only the whales buy the cubes. Right? The free-to-play players or the people that don't really spend that much money in a game, they're praying for those Master Craftsman cubes, like the ones that work in Legendary Pod.
They could craft
like they buy the
Meisters
service.
too.
Yeah, they buy the service, they sell the service. They're praying they get them from daily or weekly bosses. That's their source of cubes. They're not really looking to spend money on cubes because it's just too expensive for the economy as well, right? The state of the economy. KMS's economy is still better than GMS, even though both servers had the compensation. But the compensation directly affects KMS even on a larger scale because it's a larger player base, right?
Yep.
So that's like the baseline of this topic. We understand now that the monetization between the two servers is completely different. So KMS, they don't have to worry about releasing these new cubes because they know people are always going to be buying cubes no matter if they're a big spender or not.
Mm-hmm.
For GMS, it's a special case. That's why we have these special cubes. They only target whales. So the thing that I wanted to talk about, or like the next question to bring up is like what do we want to see Nexon do in GMS in terms of other monetization methods, right? Because this model they have is like their bread and butter. They're tried and true. Like it's always been working.
Just making OP ass cubes.
Yeah, just making OP ass cubes, right? So that's mainly reg server talk. I want to focus on Reboot server now, right?
Yeah.
So Reboot, the way that Reboot generates money for Nexon is people buying pets, people buying the outfits, the fucking separated cash shop inventories. People are praying for cash shop transfer events. The pets, and I mean like vac pets are crazy. It's
no, vac pets is a big one.
You have vac pets.
Yeah, vac pets a big one on
So
money making.
What I would like to see Nexon do with how they evolve their monetization for GMS, and I guess just GMS Reboot specifically, is they need to revamp their MVP system and make it more into a battle pass kind of thing, right? So I'm thinking that. So when I think of a battle pass in every game, right? At the end of the day, the battle pass, there's ones you get that you don't have to pay anything at all, or you pay for something and you get rewards for it. But at the end of the day, you're getting something out of the battle pass, right? So I think if Maplestory were to have like an actual real battle pass, it would have to include items that increases, like, that improves the quality of life of the player by providing quality of life changes or like perks. So what do I mean by this? So I think the battle pass should just give you a pet, and the battle pass should last a month long. And for that month, you have a pet. It probably should just be a vac pet as well. Not gonna lie, right? You should get a vac pet from this battle pass. You should get a full set of NX. You should get access to your storage, access to a general store from anywhere, as long as you have this battle pass. Like you pay for the battle pass. Like you can be in a training map, and if you need to access your storage or something, you can do it right away, right? if you need to go to the general store because you need to buy buff freezers, you should be able to buy buff freezers from that general store. You shouldn't have to go to fucking cash shop to buy buff
Yeah.
freezers. It doesn't make sense,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is like and the last thing, actually, two more things that should come with the battle pass is a 1 month duration hyper teleport rock, and
Like the MVP
basically
one.
yeah, like the MVP one, and the equivalent of just like the MVP potion too, where
Mhm.
you have like unlimited usages on it, right? These are like the basic things that the battle pass should come with. The extras that Nexon can like kind of bundle with it is whatever. Like they can throw in like, oh, you get. Oh wait, you should also still have like the MVP boxes, right? For your XP coupons, your atmospheric and self MVPs.
Uh-huh.
But like outside of that, like the extra stuff, like they can just throw in like a mount or something, or throw in a chair or whatever, and like they can come up if they want to have like a premium battle pass that gives extra stuff or double the rewards, whatever the case is. But I think the baseline of the battle pass, you're paying for it, you have to pay for it, but you get like this insane quality of life playing the game now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So oh, go ahead.
It's strange to me that I mean, I guess it's not that strange. Nexon is a really old ass company. Maplestory is a really old ass game. It's crazy how it's still like it's a fucking old guard of video games, of MMOs.
Yeah.
It's still standing here and alive. But I would like to see them modernize the game more, and they're kind of doing that, right? With all these quality of life changes they've been pushing out. Like even their auction house change is like very, it's like the standard for every MMO now, of being able to see the price changes and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and like the price history of something, and like bidding and stuff. It's crazy how we're only getting this recently, relatively recently. But like things for like this when it comes to monetization, monetization, which is what a company wants to do, right? They want to be profitable.
Yeah.
This is such a simple thing to do.
Yeah.
It's a simple thing to do that would go a long way, that would hopefully improve the server, because I mean it's just another stream of revenue they're getting, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I have some thoughts on this. So the battle pass system, it would definitely have to be a tiered system like MVP. Like it shouldn't be. I think people who spend more in the game, it's tough because I feel like people who spend more in the game, on one hand, should be rewarded for spending on the game, right? Like they should get extra things. But on the other hand, I think people should also just have that option of just like, hey, I want to spend $100 this month on some battle pass, then sure, like get it. But there should also be different levels to the battle passes, and obviously the rewards are varying. But another part of me feels like all these things should be the bare minimum on Maplestory anyways. Like we should already have these things for free. Like these are just quality of life. Like quality of life changes should just be part of the game. And an alternative way they can make money is just not have the game be free to play. Like just look at like Final Fantasy, for example. Like you just pay every month. But if that every month comes with better servers and quality of life, then they make money that way. But I understand how you could think that a free to play, if you just change from the free to play model, like it's over, your game's dead. I don't think it'll be dead, to be honest with you. I feel like most people who play this game are like adults and they could afford to pay every month on this game. And with that, like if you pay every month, like you just get all those things that a battle pass would give and more. Better server stability. That's like the biggest one.
I think so. When I think of free-to-play games, right? When I think of Maplestory is a game that you fucking grind endlessly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if people like the idea of them paying to grind monsters, if you know what I mean. In the sense of when I say it like that, it seems really plain. But what I meant is in like the grinding in Maplestory is not like the grinding in other games. It's very bland.
Uh-huh.
Like what you get is what you get when it comes to grinding in Maplestory. There's not really too much going on when you're grinding, and that's why people are usually watching something on the side when they're grinding, right?
That's an intentional design though. Like, they want it like that.
I mean, I think specifically for Maplestory, if they were to go to a pay to play model, it wouldn't be it would just be an entirely different game. They have to change everything, right? And at that point, they would just make a new IP instead, right? Instead of trying to do that with Maplestory.
Yeah.
Like adding Battle Pass, you don't really change the game that much, or in comparison to pay to play model. Like, if you don't have this Battle Pass, you can still survive, because we're already surviving without the Battle Pass. With this Battle Pass out of those things that I mentioned, then I think there would be a lot of people willing to pay for it.
I mean, the VAC pet is already a battle pass. Like, if you think about it, like, you're paying every month.
Yeah, you're paying 15 a month.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because this is really literally Nexon creating a problem and solving the solution at the same time, right? The problem is this loot system is dog shit, but the solution is to provide a decent way to solve it. You still gotta run around to collect the meso, whether it's VAC pet or not.
I mean, it's completely different though with VAC. Like VAC, you're not even running around collecting meso. You're just mobbing. You're running around to kill mobs, and then you also happen to be looting as you're killing your mobs. Like, loot rotations just aren't a thing anymore. Like, literally, like, all you have to do is just kill every mob every rotation. That's it, and then you will get all the money.
Yeah, I mean, some maps are not that friendly though, even with a VAC pet.
Someone in chat says, if MS required a subscription to play, I'd stop playing. But if MS remained free to play with an optional battle pass, I'd play and always buy the battle pass. It sounds funny because it's funny. Like, there is a difference. Like, I acknowledge, like, there is a difference. That's the funny part, because it's like, I think you hit the nail on the head, Jay, because it's just knowing that you're not. It's knowing, like, what you're paying for isn't like what you're doing. For example, like what you said, it's like people don't want to pay for something and then just think like, oh, I'm paying just to grind. Like, no. Like, I'm playing a free game and I'm gonna grind, but I'm gonna make the grind way easier because I'm paying for this thing. Even though both are effectively the same thing, like whether you pay for the game and the grind is easier, but you both end in the same result, but one makes you feel better than the other. It's pretty interesting.
Because I've played Final Fantasy 14. I've played a game where there was a subscription model, and I still think to this day Final Fantasy 14 is still like the best game I've ever played. Now, just because I'm not playing it right now doesn't mean I still don't think that way. It's just I don't feel like for the content that's available right now, and for what I want out of the gaming right now, I don't feel like paying for it. But I'm pretty sure down the future, when I'm like way more mellowed out and not really willing to grind anymore, and I'm way more casual, I'll probably just default back to Final Fantasy 14, because that game literally has everything for someone. Like,
actually,
if you're a huge mount collector, there's something like that for you. If you're really into housing, there's something like that for you. If you're really into like the end game content, there's something like that for you. If you like to just level up every class that exists in the game, that's available for you. There's like so many aspects and ways to enjoy the game that I can understand why people are willing to pay for Final Fantasy every month. Because some days you just don't feel like you want to do that end game content. You just want to chill, and maybe you want to craft a little bit or work on your house, or there was that mount that came out recently and you want to do the content for that so you can collect it. Like, there's always something you can do in Final Fantasy that doesn't necessarily mean you're not progressing in the game. Because account progression in that game is very simple. You don't need the best gear. You only need gear if you want to do higher content. But that's not like the entire point of Final Fantasy. It's just Final Fantasy is like very flexible on how you enjoy that game.
Yeah. So no, that's exactly, this occurred to me. So that's exactly why Maple's doing so well as a free-to-play game, because the content is so slow. If you are paying for this game and the content is slow, you're just gonna stop paying for it because especially in GMS, when we know what's about to come, you could be like right now we know all the next updates for the next 6 months. Like we know what's about to come, and right now specifically, the next 5 weeks we saw the Sundays, nothing's going on. So everybody could just be like, all right, I'm dropping Maple for a month. I'm not gonna pay for it for this month, and then that's it. Nexon gets fucked. So that's exactly why. That's precisely probably a big reason why it's free to play, because Nexon knows that like their new release cycles are so slow, and that we know what's gonna come up, that people can just plan to play literally only like 2 months of the year and just grind out those 2 months, and that's it. And then be like, I got what I wanted out of the game. I got to the big event. That's it. I don't care. So yeah, that's why actually the subscription model wouldn't work. But the battle pass model definitely is a big one. It's a really good idea, to be honest. But it has to be balanced to a point where it's not super pay to win, because then that just kills Reboot. It can't be like, oh, in this battle pass you get 300 red cubes every month too. Like, no, it has to just be like like convenient things.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like it should be like the one, like the 30-day teleport rock, like the fucking HP potion. The vac pet should just be a standard. It should be the new standard of pets. It shouldn't be the next premium of a pet. You know what I mean?
I mean, they need to just make the vac pet an upgrade you could put on a pet. Like, don't get me wrong, I love these pets, but like, there's no customization at all. Everybody's pets look the same. Like, we're all just robots.
I don't know. Yeah, that would be more simpler if they just added a pet skill. That's just the vac pet skill, right?
Yeah. No reason not to.
Yeah, that should just be the new standard for pets, though. I mean, ideally, pets shouldn't exist. Or the current loot system shouldn't exist. Is what I meant.
Oh, true. Yeah, you shouldn't even have to loot anything. You should just kill the mob, and then it goes into your inventory, all the shit. And then you could also just filter it if you don't want some of the things. But yeah, it should just be like that. You just kill a mob, and then the shit just goes inside you.
All right. So the next question to ask for this topic is, why do we think Nexon hasn't done this yet?
Now, a battle pass system? I mean, I think they're scared. It is very different. It could be. I could definitely see it as a turnoff. It's like, oh, look at Nexon trying to. Just think of the wagon, right? If you were playing during the wagon, dude, you know how many people were shitting on the wagon every single time it came back? Well, it came back only once, so they had it the first time and then the second time. But people were just shitting on the wagon so hard, even though low-key the wagon was really good value. But it's just new, and people don't like the new. Like the new things, people are like, oh, look at this Nexon cash grab that people are trying to that they're trying. So.
Okay, so someone in chat's talking about they did the battle pass with cafe event. The problem with the cafe event is just,
fuck that event.
The reward was the fucking title.
Yeah.
That was like the thing that people sought out for.
Which wasn't even like that crazy of a title.
Oh, they're asking what was the wagon thing.
Okay. So I think in 2020, like in 2020, Nexon released this thing called the Magic Wagon in the cash shop. Basically, how the wagon worked, it's NX, right? Like you spend money. It's this new tab in the cash shop called Wagon, right? And every like 6 hours or something, different items are in the wagon, right? So you don't necessarily, so you could just wait every 6 hours and hope you could get something in the wagon that's for sale that you want. But what you could also do is you could pay 50 cents worth of NX to re-roll the wagon immediately. And what that also does is every single time you re-rolled the wagon, within a 24-hour window, there were different tiers to the reward. So let's say you re-roll the wagon 20 times, you unlock the next tier of rewards that are in the wagon. So you had to re-roll the wagon 200 times to unlock the max rewards from the wagon, and then you had to keep re-rolling the wagon to get what you wanted in that tier, and then you had to buy the item when it appeared. So it's just like this multi-layered like money wall you have to get through to get the item you want. But crazy thing, it was actually really good value because the items were so good. Like, you got so many perm pets out of the wagon for so cheap, like on average, comparing to like just getting a perm pet from like Wonderberries. Like, the wagon was actually really cheap. And now Nexon saw that this was like a good idea, and the second time the wagon came back, they doubled the cost on re-rolling the wagon, and the rewards were shittier. So like, then we never got wagon again because they kind of just killed it and they got greedy. So now this, like, people are just always thinking like anytime, like, that's why with the battle pass thing, it's like anytime Nexon releases anything that makes money, even vac pets. Like, look at vac pets. Like, so many people shit on vac pets. Like, so many people hate vac pets, even though technically, like, the vac pet it does a lot for you. It really does a lot for you, but people hate on vac pets. So yeah, what was I gonna say? They're scared to release something like a battle pass because people are just gonna shit on it. And John makes a good point. You also have to get everything all at once or your tier reset. Yeah. So remember when I said 24-hour window for the wagon? If you unlock the max tier on the wagon, you had to buy everything within 24 hours, or your tier resets the next day back to 0. So you'd have to tier it up again. So it kind of forces you to like spend all your money because it's like, oh, I'm already at this tier. I'm already at the top of the wagon. I have to keep rolling until I get everything, because if I don't get everything now, then I'm going to have to re-tier up the next day, which was crazy. Like, it was actually crazy. But low-key, the rewards were good, though. Maybe I'm biased.
The most memorable thing I remember about the wagon, I did buy from it, but I never re-rolled. I just waited for the next day because I wanted to buy like the white label ring or whatever.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The thing that was most memorable was that I knew people that they did the wagon not because for the perm pets, that was like secondary, not because of the outfits. They were hunting for totems.
Oh yeah! Oh my god, how could I forget about that? Oh my god, there were totems in the wagon. There were apples in the wagon. There were buff freezers in the wagon. Perm pets. Oh my god, I forgot there were totems in the wagon. Literally, like, you could just buy totems.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my god, I forgot about that. Yo, wagon was so good.
Yeah, after you're 15 from the reward shop and then the 2 from calendar, wagon was like your only other way to get more totems outside of just having a second account.
Yeah.
And the thing to mention is that it is good value for what it is you get out of it, but there's a certain amount you have to spend before you even get to see that realized value.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
yeah. You
It's one of those things where it's like, it's why sales on an item baits people into buying the item, because if they never needed it, then they wouldn't have bought it. But the reason why they bought it was because it was at a lower price than its original price, and they're thinking, oh, I can get a good deal out of this, and they're more attracted to the idea of a deal than actually realizing what you're gonna do with the item you buy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Like, yeah, the perm pets were a good deal, but it's like, do you need that many perm pets? I did, but most people didn't. So
yeah, like there was the what's it called, the perm pet, no, not perm pet, the revival for the fact pets. There was like a pack of 3 or whatever, and like you saved like maybe like 15% if you bought all 3.
Yeah.
Or buy like 3 at a time. Like, do you really need to buy all 3 right now? Like, are you sure you're gonna be playing 7 months from now?
Yeah, literally. Yeah, so is there any other reason why you don't think Nexon has like tried a battle pass system?
I think fear is a good example or a good reason as to why they haven't done it.
Mm-hmm.
Something I said before was like what they're doing right now is their bread and butter. They know it works, and this bread and butter combo of cubes and whatnot and these PSSBs has been working so well that they don't want to budge from it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like this system has kept the game alive for however long it's been.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
Right? Like they have multiple servers to back up this data that this monetization method works. They have JMS, CMS, TMS, KMS, GMS to look at it like, yeah, this is proof that it works. So they're yeah, pretty much they're afraid to try something new or wander too far off from their current model. And ultimately, like, I don't think it's fair to say that because they don't have the greatest way of monetizing the game is going to be the downfall of the game. I mean, the downfall of the game is just going to be the decisions they make with the content and how they handle, you know, buffs, nerfs, rewards from bosses, dailies, weeklies, all that. How they make money off the game is not going to be. I mean, it could be the reason why they killed the game too, right? But
yeah, could be.
Them not having this battle pass isn't going to be the reason why the game died, pretty much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, it's just there's not enough resources for them to want to try and figure out if it's worth trying to do something like this. Like, they don't have to. I mean, it makes sense for them to try to introduce it into KMS because it's the original game. It's the largest player-based game, I think.
What do you mean? Like like Maplestory? Yeah, KMS is the biggest Maple version. Mm-hmm.
Like it would make sense for them to try it on that server than to try it on other servers, I think. Because I mean,
it's different because KMS, unlike GMS, like KMS, the community actually has power. Like if the community like outrages in KMS over something, like it's actually a really big deal. It's not like here where people could cry all they want, nothing happens. But in KMS, like they're really conscious of what the people think.
Yeah, I can see it that way. But yeah, it comes down to fear, and I still think it's just they don't have the resources or they don't want to invest the resources into figuring it out.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely don't. And the thing is, like, a lot of these ways they make money don't even like they don't necessarily like spawn in GMS first. Like they'll try them in like TMS first, for example. Like all those cubes and shit like that Reg server has, like those are all like TMS items. So like GMS is more of like we just get leftovers.
Breath of Divinity, Lucid Earrings.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I think.
Yeah, we could probably move on to the next topic.
Yeah, we can move on to the next topic.
All right, let's go back. All right, so the next topic will be no more remasters. So there was a comment on the latest KMS patch about how the devs don't plan to remaster like groups of classes anymore. For example, like we just had the Explorer remaster, we had the garbage with the Cygnus Knights, and a lot of people think like, oh, you know, Resistance is next, Floors are next, or whatever. It's just like, sorry to tell you, they plan to remaster individual classes at a time or individual archetypes at a time. For example, like all thieves, for example, like that.
So there's a bit of discrepancy there. Like I've been seeing like different translations or different interpretations of what they said. People are saying that they're going to be working on classes individually, and then I've seen people say that they're going to be working on the entire branch of a archetype. So like you said, they will work on thieves, and then they're going to move on to warriors and then archers and so forth. Like not in that order, but that's how they would address it. And I find it would be really weird if they did it that way, where like they only focused on thieves first, because I don't see how that's any different from explorers and then Cygnus and then resistance.
I don't think it's gonna be like that way. There's no way. I think they
Yeah.
just mean individual classes. Like in some classes
I-
that just like suck inherently. So
Yeah, I think so too. I mean,
like
it only
Shad.
makes sense. Yeah, only makes sense that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, with this being said, right? What would we have preferred? Would we still want to Would we still have preferred like resistance remaster, or would we prefer individual classes being looked at?
So for me, I would prefer individual classes because, um, not to like diss Nexon, but you know, a lot of things don't get like as meticulously looked at when it's like a group. For example, when they did like all the explorers, it's like it's very clear that certain explorers won more than others, right? But
Oh yeah.
if it's like an individual class, let's just take what's a shit class? Let's just take like well, not necessarily shit class. Let's just take like Wild Hunter for example, right? You know, if they take a deep dive into Wild Hunter, like they'll address its problems way more thoroughly than just changing all of resistance, like Blaster and Mechanic and Battle Mage and all of them. So I definitely prefer a single release, like a single fix for each classes, but you know, that's just how I feel.
I would also prefer individual. My concern for it is how much time they're willing to spend,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like, if it's only maybe like a 2 week period where they look at what the community says and then they throw it out into KMST and then they get another 2 weeks of KMST to figure out, the players are saying and what Nexon wants to do instead. It's like, when does Nexon draw the line that, okay, we're no longer taking any more feedback on this? This is the final product. Any other changes we make are going to happen later with just number changes, not the function of a skill, but rather like how much damage it does or how many lines it does, or the cooldown and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said earlier, when they did do like a big batch, yeah, it was pretty noticeable that some explorers got everything and some explorers just got like the bare minimum.
Yeah, just think of
Like-
Night Lord versus Shad.
I mean, I think the biggest example would be you look at Bishop. I mean, I guess Bishop kind of deserved what they got. Like they were kind of down in the dumps as just the stat WSC cheese class
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the low end players. But you look at, so I want to look at it just purely as Explorer mages, like all three. They got the nuttiest fucking up jump ever.
They did. They got crazy up jump with blink built in, for some reason.
Like they can float and glide with their up jump. It's crazy, right? Like they went above and beyond for making that skill godlike. But then when you look at like that's not something that Explorer mages needed, right? Like they just needed an up jump. They didn't need the floating part.
Mm-hmm.
That's like cherry on the top that they got that, right? And you look at fucking Dual Blade, where is it really that hard to remove the HP cost on Final Cut? Is it really that hard to just make the final damage a passive and just keep the active as just the iframe? Is it really hard to make Chains of Hell and Final Cut usable in the air and not only grounded? Like these are like very simple quality of life changes that would go a long way for Dual Blade, but they don't do it. Instead, they go above and beyond for Explorer Mage's up jump. Like what? Like they made it. They made like a simple skill like up jump, like to like that fucking S tier up jump in the game.
Yeah.
Like I can't even think of another up jump that even rivals it. Like they're
Yeah,
basically
no,
just
I
Demon
mean, it's
Slayer.
the best one. So. Yeah. Actually, I mean,
Demon Slayer is faster, but like
DS is better just because the glide chains with it, but that's not really like the up jump. The up jump itself is just an up jump. But yeah.
Yeah.
The Explorer Mage one's the best one, so like easily.
It's if you guys saw that painting or not paint drawing on, I think I mentioned this last podcast too. There's like a little meme on the subreddit where it's Ignition, and it's like this beautifully drawn horse,
Oh yeah.
from one end, and then it just gets shittier and shittier until it gets to the head, where it's just like a little scribble of nothing, right? And that little scribble is Blaze Wizard of how much attention it got for the sake of this revamp. And then Dawn Warrior is like this beautifully drawn, like backside of the horse. It's like that's like a pretty good representation of how there's just way more resources dumped into Dawn Warrior, into making it like the poster child of Cygnus, and then everything else is just like got the crumbs, you know, whatever was left.
I mean, it's good that Nightwalker got crumbs, but that's like the issue with a group batch of like reworks, because it's just like it's never gonna be equal. So
yeah, like for sure we both agree. I think most people would agree that individual is a lot better, especially if they don't skimp out on like how much time they invest. Like, it should be, if they're going to revamp a class with community feedback and they're only looking at the class like one class at a time, it should be a satisfactory product at the end.
Yeah, it should be.
Like
There's no reason for them to fail, like zero. So
yeah, like the players should be, majority of the players, you can't make everyone happy. Majority of the players should be happy with the final product.
Mm-hmm. And just to be clear, like, I don't want to seem like we're complaining, because it's like at the end of the day, remasters are good, but it just could have been better. Could have been better.
I think it's one of those things where it's a pretty, because we've had remasters before. When we had the red update for Explorers before, like that was like pretty exciting, and it modernized that version of Maplestory, right?
Yeah.
Our modern version of Maplestory with the revamp like got better too, but some classes like didn't even get that much more modernized. If that makes. Yeah, I mean we're definitely happy we got what we got, but there's definitely a lot more to have wished for. There's a lot left to be desired, right?
Yeah, of course.
I like the revamp just kind of it's so sad, because some of the changes they made like kind of made the class worse off randomly too, right? I think the biggest thing that comes to mind is Bowmasters and Marksmen. They lost their hook shot, but they got the TP thing.
TP's like way better though.
I just think it's weird that they had to they can only have one or the other kind of deal. You know what I mean?
Oh
like,
yeah, I mean there's no reason to get rid of the hook shot. They could have just added the TP, and the TP itself is weird. Like, why the hell do they have that? It doesn't make sense. But in terms of like which one is better, the TP is like way better. Like, that shit is OP as hell.
Yeah, for sure. But I it's a pretty iconic skill though.
Yeah, I mean, sucks that it's gone.
For them to just get rid of it is weird. They lost net toss too, didn't they? Or
yes, yes. They can't do that like backstep net shit.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Why did they lose that? Like, that's what I mean. Like, is the majority of marksman players really happy about the fact they lost 2 skills in favor of this teleport skill? It seems really strange.
They kind of killed like a lot of the uniqueness of the class and like essence of it by getting rid of it, and just making like Bowmaster and Marksman both have a TP, which is like, yes, technically like the TP is probably better for like modern Maple. It's more useful, and it's like you know, the class is just not as cool, or like it removes like the essence of the class. Like, Marksman was just like, yeah, here's this character that like, you know, has a crossbow, could like hunt its prey or whatever, but now it's just like, yeah, they just give big damage and they have a TP. I mean, you could kind of make the same argument for the whole distance thing for Marksman. Like, technically, like, yeah, that was kind of like the essence of the class. Like, it was an interesting game mechanic where you know, being far from a mob did more damage. But in actual practicality, like, that shit was the most annoying thing in the game. So, like, yeah, it kind of killed from, like, the essence of the class, but that was, like, a necessary kill.
You know what that reminds me of? When hard Lucid was like still like a beater boss, like a boss that you like was difficult. I remember like watching Pocket stream, and he's Night Lord, and he's got a bishop, and everyone's like all huddled up on Lucid for Benny and benediction and domain, right? And I just remember seeing Aurora.
Yeah.
This is not flaming or anything, but I just remember seeing Aurora outside of Benny on the far end of left side of Lucid, just shooting. And I'm like, holy fuck! Like, is it actually worth it for him not to be in Benny because he's playing
50
marksman?
FD.
like that's just like, yeah, it's the uniqueness of marksman, but like you said, the practicality of it just doesn't make sense in party play and just in general. There's certain bosses where it's just straight up better to be hugging a boss because you can just walk right through it when they do a pattern, right?
Yeah.
Mainly like Lotus is the best example. Even like Vihila, it's better to be on top of her.
It's like every boss is like that. You just like alter sides, like Will pushes too, like everything.
So I'm sure marksman, majority of marksman players are happy that the distance thing is basically gone. Like, it's still there, but it's not as impactful as it was before. Yeah, they do have arrow illusion. That's true, but even with arrow illusion, don't you still want to be like close? Because certain patterns punish you for being far, anyways, right?
I mean, it works in solo play. That's the thing. And arrow illusion doesn't work on every boss. And then in party play, arrow illusion just doesn't do anything. So that's the issue.
Well, I think the last thing to talk about is if they're looking at classes individually now, do we think that there's hope that they'll revisit the ones that got remastered already? And if we do think there's hope,
dude, you're on some crazy DB copium, bro.
Yeah,
I see it, bro.
List,
you're on crazy DB copium, bro. I feel it. Please remaster DB, please.
I mean, I don't really want to talk about it, but I'm just saying, right? Like, because it's definitely, because it doesn't even have to come from me, right? If you look at the same website that I talked about earlier, I think like 5% of the class population is dual blades and KMS. That's a lot of fucking dual blade players, man.
Yeah, but KMS
that's a lot of people complaining.
They won't, because that's exactly why they won't fix DB, because DB is one of those classes where there's so many DBs that it could easily become the god class, and they don't want that, bro. DB was a super good class at one point, and KMS just killed it immediately because I don't know why they hate DB so much, but I don't know, they just don't want DB to be that guy anymore. They want people to play something else. Like, you're not that guy.
Yep. It's Shadower now.
Yep.
It's all about Shadower
always
now.
Like the astronaut meme. It always has been. Yep. It always has been Shadower. Yep. I think that pretty much exhausts this topic, though.
Yeah, for sure. Like, there wasn't too much to say.
Yeah. Now every topic's gonna be like crazy long. But yeah. So this is another topic that, oh man, fuck this topic. Red cards in Reboot, and you know, and then after that, Familiars in Cernium Plus. So honestly, red cards in Reboot, like, they don't even have to give us red cards. They could just give us something that rolls, even just epic tier, like anything. I'll take anything. I'll literally take anything. They let us buy droplets, but we can't reroll our fucking fams. They let us buy cubes, but we can't reroll our fams. Like, how does that? This is like top 5 things that don't make sense in Reboot. Like, it's up there, bro.
So before we go any further, we should talk about, like, so what were ways to get red cards before? Because we did get them, right? So the first time we got them was when the Familiar revamp happened. I think they gave us like 2 or something, or like a few. I don't remember, like 3 maybe. And then we also got like an additional 5, I think, or something. because of
Uh-huh.
the compensation. Like, because some people's familiars like vanished from from existence.
Yeah.
So like those people got like a couple red cards as compensation. And then there was the goo event, this like the slime event or whatever, that gave another couple red cards. And we have never seen any more red cards ever since that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So for sure they understand how powerful the item is, because they don't have
Of
to look at
course.
Reboot to understand that. They can look at Rec server to see people with fucking 120 boss, 120 ID, kind of whatever is going on over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the next question is asked is like, why don't we have these yet? Why don't we have red cards yet? Why don't we have like something to re-roll familiars directly, like a cube for an item, right? Like
There's legit no reason. If you want to take the power argument, that's the reasoning for removing badge from the game. Oh, it's too strong. But badge literally isn't strong at all. It's only 90% FD. Like it's not a big deal. And if they want us to not be able to roll familiars, like the power argument doesn't make sense. It's just complete and utter like irresponsibleness. That's it. Like they have no reason not to give us some sort of way to roll the fams. It's the same as cubes. If you're gonna give us this system, at least give us the whole system. Don't give us like don't give us like the system without a core mechanic of the system not being able to like be used. Like it's fine to roll fams. You could do it the legit like the free to play way. Like you don't have to buy red cards, but like you need to give us that option too. Like it just completely ruins the entire system because it forces us to have all the same fams. Everybody's fams are fucking embryons or boogies. Like it's one or the other. Like it's literally one or the other. So what's the point in having fams in any other region besides like Lamina? If you really think about it, there's no point. Everybody's fams look like Lamina fams. So what's the point of having fams in like these dumbass like Ariant maps or something? Like Nexon is like killing their own system by not having rollable fams. Because if you have rollable fams, then everybody's gonna be unique. Like you're gonna see somebody walking around with like a fucking like ribbon pig fam or something. Like why not, right? Like there's no reason not to. I genuinely can't think of any reason why they don't give us fams. And then the whole too powerful argument doesn't make sense because that's the reason for removing badge, and badge is way less final damage than fams. So they either don't understand their game or they're dumb as hell. It's one or the other.
Oh, I think for sure they don't understand their game. Because if I were to like fucking be in the shoes of someone that makes decisions at Nexon, I'm thinking that, oh, the badge is a 25-star item, which means it can be 22-starred, and 22-star items are very strong. So they're probably
If
thinking
it gives
like,
attack,
badge must be strong because it can go up to 22 stars. Like that's why they capped it at 22 stars, like randomly, for no reason. Like it doesn't do anything if you cap it at 22 stars. Actually, you could have a 23-star badge because there was like the +1 thingy that they came up with recently in Rec server. But regardless of that, like
badge only goes to 22. It doesn't go to 25.
Yeah. But like that's they capped it at 22, right? Is what I'm saying. Like even if they didn't do that, there's potential for us to have 23-star. But even though it's 23-star, it doesn't change anything. It's just all stat, right?
Yeah.
It's not attack. There's no attack growth on it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if I were to be in the shoes of a Nexon employee that actually can make decisions, that makes these decisions, then it's like, oh, they see 22-star item, so it must be strong item, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you said, it's like not that strong of a FD increase in comparison to other items or other sources of damage in the game. So my answer for why we don't have these yet is that they're monitoring familiars. They're monitoring the impact of familiars on the game. Yeah, I think still, yes.
They've been monitoring them for like 3 years, literally.
Yeah, I'm not saying this to bust their balls. Like I truly think that they're still monitoring familiars, and red cards, right? Like they're looking at the state of familiars and how much it's impacted the game, what players have accomplished, and I'm pretty sure they're well aware like what familiars people have, they can see that they're pretty sure they have data to like correlate like, oh, these people that don't have familiars, and then when they did get them, are able to do this content now. Like overall, we mentioned this on our previous topic where Nexon is a free-to-play game, and their timeline of releasing new content is like super slow. So if you have super slow content that comes out, then if you have people that are progressing too fast, you're fucked. Right? This is already like kind of an issue in GMS, or not GMS, in KMS, where there's just so many resident endgamers in KMS that have to make their own content to enjoy the game. Like you literally have like the big YouTube creators starting on Reboot because they're that fucking bored and they have no other content to do. Right?
Yeah.
Like the
literally
the attack
Kobe.
Cannon... yeah. The attack cannon guy, like the cannon master, the guy that cleared Kalos first not too long ago. That guy,
he's like speedrunning.
I think he's like, yeah, he ran Reboot like crazy.
Yeah.
I think he's like liberation ready already. He just needs to like do the black mage clears, and he's done. Like he beat the game. He beat Reboot already. Like that's just like. So like it makes sense to me that they're still monitoring familiars. I think so. This kind of leaks into the next topic about like the familiars beyond.
Yeah, these topics go hand in hand.
Yeah, in Cernium and so on. I don't think we're going to get familiars in Cernium and like beyond Cernium until KMS releases like more endgame content, because they're trying to push players to be past 250 now, and that's evident with the most recent video of their Maple Live Talk. They were giving us like the pie chart of the player base that was 250 and above went from like 1.9% to like 11% or some shit like that, right? Like there's more people going past 250 now, and that's why they have like the 250 hyperburning. Like they want to push people to the end game now because they're ready to release more end game content. Like they're trying to make 250 the new standard of what 200 is right now. Right? So when that little paradigm shift happens, that's when we're going to see, that's probably when we'll finally get to see familiars and red cards, is what I'm thinking.
I mean, it's possible. I honestly feel like you're giving Nexon a little too much credit. I'm gonna be honest. Like I feel like, yeah, I honestly feel like they're not even monitoring the fams. I feel like personally, there's not enough people complaining about the fams, so they're just not even like thinking about it. Like it's not even on their radar. Like because there was a time period where it's like they released the fams were broken as hell. They removed the fams for however many months. I forgot how long it was. Then they brought the fams back, and they're like, okay, we fixed the system, we're good. And they probably have not even thought about it once ever since then. Because they're just like, okay, we fixed the system, we're done, we already like tested it and everything, like it's good. And nobody really complains about it, because the people who complain about it are like endgame players, and there's not that many of us. So things like badge, they addressed, because badge is like easily digestible for a new person to like understand and be like, hey, this isn't fair. And then everybody complains about it. But you literally never see people complaining about badge on complaining about fams like on Reddit or something. Or it's just not enough. I mean, that's how I feel. But I mean, I could be wrong. But
No,
I feel like they just don't, like, people just don't complain enough. It's not even on Nexon's radar. Like, they don't give a fuck.
Look, I can definitely see it that way too, but I also think that they're not. I feel like they regret releasing the new familiar system.
Oh yeah,
players are just too fucking strong. So that's
that
why,
too, low key, that too. And now they don't know what to do.
I think they're monitoring it.
Yeah, they don't know what to do now, so they're just like kind of just pretending it like doesn't exist or something. Because they're like, okay, well, we can't remove this, because they don't remove legacy items. Like if they wanted to, they could have removed everybody's badges. Technically, they could have just deleted everybody's badges when they remove them, but they don't do that. They don't, like, that's why still frenzies still exist, and and all these like crazy old items still exist because they know like okay, like we fucked up, but like we can't get rid of it. It might be the same with FAMs, but if they get rid of, but FAMs is such a big deal. Maybe they do understand how strong FAMs are. FAMs are so strong that if they get rid of the FAMs, every single person who has FAMs right now has such a crazy big advantage that nobody could ever catch up no matter how hard they tried. So now they're just like kind of in a weird spot. And Reg server, yeah. John has a good point. Reg server has spent fucking like so much money on FAMs, like tiering up to legendary and rolling them, that they just can't remove them.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, this is about Reboot. Fuck Reg. Yeah.
Yeah, we're the 66% of the population, guys.
Yeah. Fuck Reg.
Okay, so the last question is, do we think we'll ever get it?
Yes, Copium. Yes, I do. Despite me talking so much shit about Exxon, I believe we're gonna get it because it benefits me. But if I was on my Hamtoryu account and I already had my nice ass FAMs, I'd be like, hell no, we're not getting that shit. Just because it doesn't benefit me. It benefits others more. And I'm selfish and greedy. Yep.
True. I mean, I don't really have a reason to not believe we won't get it. It's just a matter of when. Because again, like I'm pretty sure they know that Reboot's really strong now because of familiars, and also I think they're probably trying to figure out that magic number of what to sell it for, or if they even want to sell it.
Red Cube money, literally Red Cube cost 12 mil. Fuck it, 100 mil. I'll literally pay 100 mil.
Yeah, I'd be down to pay 1 bill per card.
Dude, that's because you have a secret weapon. That's why.
it's not a really secret weapon.
No, dude, that's why. Because you have a secret weapon. If you didn't have that, you would not say I'd pay 1 bill. You wouldn't.
Dude, these guys in chat saying I wouldn't, just give it to me and I'll do it.
No, you wouldn't because you have a secret weapon. That's why. You know. He has a legendary card, guys. I'm leaking it. That's why he would pay 1 bill.
Dude, it's not even like you're leaking. It's just people just don't know. It's not like I'm hiding it. I have a fucking video of it.
I'm just pretending like it's something secret.
Okay. But I'm pretty sure we'll get it eventually. It's just a matter of when. And I think there's also no guarantee that they have it always available. They could always just make it like an exclusive rare event item like they have before with the Goo event. And I saw someone mention this earlier in the chat. Like I think there was like some giveaway where they gave away red cards too. To like
oh, they did. I remember that. Yeah, they did. The thing is, there's no reason for them. All these things that can like enhance your gear or like make you stronger in some way, there's no reason for you not to be able to buy it with Mesos, like on Reboot. Like that's the point. That's why people play Reboot, because I don't want to pay real money to buy cubes. I want to buy cubes with Mesos and farm for it. There's no reason not to. They let you buy fucking droplets, which are like so much more rare than anything else, and you could buy them. And it goes to the whole nodes thing. Like there's no reason why you can't buy nodes. Another top 5 moments where Nexon doesn't make sense. No reason why you can't buy red cards, because that's just like a cube. It's the same exact thing. And I'm not saying like you should be able to buy like pitch boss items with Mesos, but things that could like enhance your gear, like that should just all be Meso. Like there should be a free way to do it, similar with nodes. Like you could farm nodes, but you should also be able to buy nodes. Same with droplets. You could farm droplets or you could buy droplets. Like you just need to have the option.
I think this goes back into what we said earlier about Nexon is just too afraid to do certain things. I just think think about it this way, right? They have KMS as their main server, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their monetization method is cubes. People buying cubes, right? That's how KMS generates its revenue, right? From the reg server. It's people buying cubes, people buying the NX, whatnot. But since we are literally on the opposite spectrum, our monetization method is not the same. Like the revenue that's generating Reboot is generating the most revenue, I'm pretty sure, without buying cubes. It's just people buying NX, like outfits, pets, whatnot, not cubes. So I think that because it's literally like flipped their payment model on its head, they don't know how to deal with the fact that Reboot is the big money maker now. They haven't really made like the Magic Wagon and like a cafe, whatever, is kind of like them stepping out of their boundaries. But I think Familiars is like really something they don't know how to touch, and I don't think they want to touch it either.
Yeah, no, they're scared.
For Reboot, for Rec server, it's a no-brainer for them to have at that item, right? But for Reboot, I think they're just too scared for Reboot to be too strong. Like, I'm pretty sure there's so many Rec server players that are just salty as fuck that there's Reboot players that are stronger than them in a year or two. Because they probably spent like a good amount of money in the game, and they're fucking pissed that some random Reboot player that has spent 1,000 hours on the game grinding and hasn't really spent, a quarter of what they spent, is further than them, right? But that's just the nature of, the different servers and the way you progress in each server.
Ever since the final damage patch hit, like, that's it. Like, the reg server Andes were crying because the average Reboot endgamer is stronger than the average reg endgamer. Like, that's just how it is now. And when you think of the reg endgamer, like, they're not all like Bane or like Itachi or whatever. Like, they're not all those like big super mega like 100k demons. Like, no, the average endgamer on reg is like, they're literally weaker than the average endgamer on Reboot. Like, straight up. Not everybody spends that much, but I get how, like, yeah, they could complain, but at the same time, like, it's kind of inevitable. Like, you chose to play reg, and Reboot's just naturally getting us stronger over time, so it is what it is.
I'm not saying that they're complaining that their feelings are misplaced. Like, it's if I were in their shoes, I would feel I would definitely be salty about reg or Reboot players too being stronger than me, right? But it's, as you said, that's just the nature of the two different servers. I don't even. There are times where I think that two servers shouldn't even be compared to each other because the game is just so different. Like, you might be playing the same class, you might be using nodes, you might be using Meso, but I think Reg server and Reboot server, the way you play them it's different enough to just be its own game. That's how I feel.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't compare. They're different games. Like, that's the end of the. It's just this whole reg server like cringe ass pride where like, I'm reg server, I clear bosses first, Reboot's the shit server, we have to do everything first, they can never be stronger than us. Like, get over it, baby. Like, shut up, bruh.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't know. I mean, that's Maplestory. You get frustrated. It's messy.
Clear, but you got bod. Don't count. True. Anyways, I think that kind of exhausts this topic.
Yeah. Or actually, so one last thing I wanted to say is, when familiars got introduced into certain areas, like there's familiars Arcana, there's familiars in Morass, there's familiars in Esfera, right? And eventually there was familiars in Moonbridge, Labyrinth, and Lamina, right? Lamina, whatever.
Yep.
So this like really streamlined progression for these players, going from 225 or whatever to all the way to 250 plus. Like, you have like this nice streamline of familiars you can get. Maybe you get lucky with a couple 20% or 30% boss familiars along the way. Maybe you don't. But like, that's why I kind of honed in on like the 250 plus thing, like the population being it's a larger pool now. Like, it went from 1.9 to like 11% or something, right? That's why I think that when more of those players start existing, that's when they'll start to streamline the progression again into Cernium and Grandis. But because Cernium and Grandis is like the newest area out, I don't think they're gonna add familiars for a long time. They will eventually, but not for a long time. That
does make sense. I could definitely see that, and I understand the argument. I could definitely see that.
Yeah,
I could definitely see that. They're waiting, so. But I mean, it just sucks, when you're currently endgame and you just get fucked and you have to make a new character, and people have better fams than you. It just sucks, like, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like, that's the cost with always being on the bleeding edge of everything, right? The generation after you is just always gonna have it easier. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think we could move on to the next topic.
Yeah. Okay, so the next topic is the balance schedule of non-KMS classes. So like Hayato, Jet, Beast Tamer, and Kana. So what do we mean by the balance schedule of these classes? Basically, like, why are the non-KMS classes and KMS classes just on a different schedule? And why do they like not give a fuck about our classes? And if we're like bugged or anything, like it just takes forever. Like everything just takes forever with these non-KMS classes. So, you want to start? You want to input on that?
Yeah. So it makes. I mean, unfortunately, it just makes sense why they're not balanced at the same time, because again, it always comes back to this. It's just the lack of resources and the lack of willingness to invest more resources into GMS in general, right? But there's a bit of a bias when it comes to the non-KMS classes anyways. Kana and Hayato have seen the most iterations ever out of all the non-KMS classes. Am I mistaken or no?
Kana and Hayato?
Yeah, they've seen the most like changes out of Jet and BT and.
Well, yeah, Kana first, then Hayato. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's
So-
it's basically just Kana. I'm gonna be honest. Like the Hayato has changed, but Kana's like the big one.
Yeah, I mean, and it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So now that we've established that there's not enough resources for these non-KMS classes to be balanced at the same time as the rest of the classes, and so with that being in mind, because Kana has such a big presence, that's where all the resources are going into, making sure Kana isn't this fucking, messy pile of imbalance everywhere.
Which it is.
It just takes up
it
all the
always
resources,
is.
right?
Yeah.
It just takes up the majority of the resources that are available, because it's such an underlying issue that they gotta fix it. Like, they have to address it, not even just fix. They gotta address it. And so there's a bit of a priority list. Like, yeah, Jet isn't in the best state right now. If there's definitely a lot of things that they could get for them to that they should get, like quality of life changes and whatnot, or just balance updates and buffs. And Hayato has always been, it was pretty bad during damage cap, or I mean, you know what I mean. But Hayato is like better off than the other KMS class.
It was just very limited.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and BT's like has like the greatest potential to be such a good class, but they just keep missing somehow.
Yeah.
And I highly doubt that the BT community is not outspoken about changes. I feel like there's definitely people that are in the BT community that know what they're talking about and like have good ideas that can turn the class around and become like something of a staple non-KMS class, like up there with Kana and Hayato. But it just isn't. BT is just like someone's, university project that just never finished.
Yeah, literally. The thing about BT is like it suffers from being unpopular, right? Like they have no reason to fix it or have a deep dive into it just because nobody complains about it or it affects so few people. But Kana and Hayato like are so important. Hayato because it's just a weeb class, like you know how many weebs there are. And then Kana for obvious reasons, it's literally Kana. That they just have to change them. But BT is just like, bro, nobody gives a fuck about BT. So like just like the aesthetic is fine and all that stuff, but like if you think of like the average person who plays this game or like the average just random person, they don't really fuck with that BT aesthetic like that. So that's one aspect on why they're not popular. And then they play BT, they're probably confused at why all the skills are there, and then they don't like it. Like there's just BT's got so many like things that are just turnoffs for a lot of people. I understand it does have like a people that like it. Like I like playing BT. I think it's a good, I actually think it's a good class, I'm gonna be honest. But the thing is, nobody cares enough for Nexon to fix it. So like it suffers from that, and it's probably always gonna be like that, unfortunately. Like imagine tomorrow Nexon is just like, we're revamping BT. Who's gonna care? Literally nobody's gonna care. Even if BT ends up being like crazy, nobody's gonna care. Because it's just like, why should they care?
Hmm.
Dubsley.
Yeah, I mean,
True.
for sure. You hit the nail on it. Like it suffers from the fact that it's unpopular, and because it's unpopular, it's just down in the dumps in terms of priority. And we mentioned like we said earlier about just Kana just being such a problematic class that's where their attention is, because there's so many people that play it, and it's become such an integral part of just like Reboot's party composition.
Mm-hmm.
Like every single first clear for a boss it's always going to be two classes that are going to be there all the time. It's always going to be a bishop in there, and there's always going to be a Kana in there. The last 4 slots or whatever.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean that's just the facts. Like they're too strong. But I don't want to make this about like domain so OP. So, but yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah. I mean, it's. I think it sucks a lot. It always comes back to just not enough resources. It's pretty. You get some fat FOMO when you saw the Explorer revamp, and
Yeah,
you're
you
over
do.
here playing Kana or Hayato or Jet or BT, and you're like, fuck, like when do I get something like that? I want to get like changes that are this big. Like I want my class to get those kind of quality of life changes. Like when am I going to get to that? Right? Am I ever going to get that?
I mean, you get used to the abuse at some point, but it sucks. Like you just expect nothing, which is like the worst thing if you really think about it. But we're all in too deep, so nothing you could do about it.
I wouldn't say my experience is about equal to those players, but I felt something similar to that. For you DB players out there, for like the last like 6 or 7 months, when you look at the patch notes, it's always like DB got this thing fixed in Ursus, and like nothing else changed before the Explorer revamp happened. Like, oh, DB's mirror target now works probably in Ursus, or oh, DB had like this weird typo in their description, so we're fixing that. Like, it's so sad what the DB patch notes looked like before the Explorer revamp happened. And I mean, it's still kind of sad, but like I felt that FOMO real hard. I'm like, damn, Shadowrunner's getting all these changes. Nightlord's getting fucking
just
all
swap
these changes as well. Yeah, just swap, forehead. I mean,
literally
I did swap,
just swap.
But I did swap. I mean, I played Shad before revamp too. It's just that back then Shad was like a real, actual labor of love kind of class. There were so many things you have to keep track of.
Oh my god, yeah, actually.
You have to keep track of flip the coin, and you have to make sure there's 3 wound debuffs on the boss that would fall off too. And like if you hit multiple mobs with it, then you have to pay attention if it dropped off the boss as well. You have to look at your buff bar for how many Shadow Salt stacks you had. You have to look at the buff bar to see if you had 3 stacks of Shadow's Instinct to refresh the buff for the full 70 attack. Like holy crap, dude! Like there's so many things to juggle on Shadowrunner back then. Now it's like so much more simplified.
Yeah, no, I agree. So you mentioned in your notes, I was reading, do we think that the community behind these non-KMS classes are not able to properly communicate class issues and quality of life changes? So this actually brings up a really good story, and this is why I'm such a believer in what's it called? Where if the community complains, like things will change. If the community complains. So, and this is why I think something like BT is like never gonna change, because just nobody plays that shit class. Yeah.
Dude, that shit class got you #1 in the Intel game, dude.
Yo, true. I take it back. True. I would not be here. Never mind. This isn't about me. Anyways, so when before Hayato got its line buff, Hayato was just shitting the bed. Like we just overcapped. We couldn't do anything. And this was around the time when I was doing my lib, and it was just straight up impossible. Like you just couldn't do that shit. We didn't have enough damage on Reboot to do the double Sunrens on top meta that Slay did on Reg. So like we just couldn't do it, no matter how hard we were all full 22. Like you just couldn't kill Lucid, no matter how hard you try. And this balance patch was like kind of like gonna come soon. We saw from KMS, And at the time, CM Kyrios was the CM, and what he did was he joined all of the Reboot Central class channels and asked the classes like, what do you guys think is like wrong with your class? And me and like some of the other Hayatos, like we wrote like what was wrong with the class. I left like a nice paragraph on behalf of the Hayatos and explained to him, somebody who like, you know, was new to the game, I explained to him why having no lines at a 10 bill cap is terrible, because we're just limited by our damage. Like the damage cap cucks us and we don't have enough lines to like do any meaningful damage. And literally for the next at the next balance patch, we got exactly what we wanted. Our lines doubled straight up. So that's why I think if you have a class that even if it's a non-KMS class, if you have a class that people play it a lot, Nexon, and you have the right people that listen to you, because I think Kyrios did do something with that. He if you have enough people and like you voice it properly, Nexon will probably hear you. So like I don't think it's like hopeless, because I've seen it firsthand with Hayato like get fixed.
Yeah. I think it's a double-edged sword though.
Yeah, it is. Definitely is. Because people could complain about the wrong things.
No, I don't even mean it in that sense. I think it's one of those things where it's like it's a double-edged sword where you're trying to rally up the community to try to get this one goal, and then maybe it failed once, and now the community just doesn't think it's possible anymore, so they don't try again. Because believe me, like, you know, I really like DB, and like I'm fucking on the forefront trying to get fucking dummy fixed, right? But like I think people are getting the wrong impression as to why I want it fixed. First of all, the class is designed behind that skill in the first place, and even without the skill, yes, I know dual blade is still very strong with it, but it doesn't make sense that we have a skill that's the core identity to the class, but it doesn't work. Like it just doesn't sit right with me. Like even if I don't use it myself, or you know, whatever the case is, like there's people that play the game differently for different reasons. I'm pretty sure those people that play DB would definitely like being able to use dummy, because they're not looking to fucking prove themselves or anything. They just want to play the game and progress their character. Like they don't have that ego in them to care about something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like I've tried talking to people to try to, you know, get them to like maybe, you know, bring up attention. Like every time like Urzabel creates like a bug report thread or whatever on Reddit, like I'm always in there. I'm always posting that fucking blurb. Oh, this skill's so broken. I have an explanation here. I have a video like showcasing like the interaction between the skill and familiars and how it works. And you know, it's there's only so much that I can do. Even when I try to rally up the community, like there's people that are against it and there's people that just don't care.
Another issue for DB is it's a KMS class. Like a lot of your balancing just isn't even done by GMS. Like where's the GMS team supposed to go? Like are they supposed to relay it to KMS? KMS they're not gonna care. The only thing they care about is what the KMS community thinks about the class. Yep. So like that's like a double layer. Whereas non-KMS classes, like no, like the GMS input actually matters because we play the class. KMS like has nothing to do with it. So that's how we kind of have that advantage, but also not advantage, because like they could change us because we're the ones directly involved, but also they like, since KMS isn't involved, a lot of times their changes break us even further. Like this patch that we just got, Hayato's instant slice is broken now, so over no reason, over nothing. So
yeah,
and that unfortunately seems to be the case more often than not, where they just break the class rather than fix it because they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
It's funny though, because that change was trying to fix something or to prevent something, right? Because
it was.
If you insta cancel with insta slice, you would just crash sometimes because you did it too fast, and that the way the coding logic worked or whatever, it makes it seem like you're fucking with the game, like not like in a proper manner. So it just kicks you off the game because you're doing something that shouldn't be possible because you're animation canceling too fast. So they tried to make that window a little bit like smaller or whatever, or like change the window so that those crashes don't exist, right? So that's why it's broken right now. At the same time, when they make these changes, 100% they don't have someone testing it.
Yeah, they don't. They literally don't.
They're just praying for the best. Like, okay, it's if we make the window this small, then there's no way they can never crash. But now the skill just seems a bit unfunctional now, right?
Yeah. Now
Like
it's just aids
they went
to
with the
use.
super safe bet change.
Yeah, like sure, people aren't crashing, but like, I'd rather crash, to be honest with you, than than feel like shit when I'm pressing instant slice.
Yeah, pressing instant slice on your level, what, fucking 200 Hayato.
It's actually 203. But yeah.
Oh, 203.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from the mini game, huh?
Hey, don't disrespect me like that. Yup, from the mini game. Yup.
But yeah, I mean, it's that's just what we have, with the resources that GMS is given. That's just what you get. I mean, I'm sure they'll get it right eventually because they already have shown interest in trying to fix that, right? They recognize it as an issue that you're crashing. Like here's the thing. I didn't say this last podcast because I didn't feel like it was necessary, but someone mentioned in your YouTube comments that beam migrators have a voice. They're closer to Nexon than we are as players, and they're not entirely wrong. Like they don't have like the best clear picture of like what they're trying to say, or the they don't have the entire context that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Beam migrators do have an actual like kind of direct contact they do, or contact with Nexon, but it's like not on the level where they can just make magical changes happen, right? They I'm pretty sure they do have like a Discord channel where they can report something, and after that it's out of their hands. Like even if that Nexon employee reports it, it's out of that person's hands, right? It's really up to like if fucking Daddy Nexon over at KMS feels like they want to bless us for this one moment and fix this thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like let me give you an example where a beam migrator's voice actually mattered personally for me. Was when I was watching Pocket stream. I think he was showcasing Kane with everyone else, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is back when like the test server was super scuffed and people were given one account to share, and you had like a different time slots.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Kane revamp, I was like, I really wanted to test this theory to see if beam migrators can actually get something fixed or not, and I kind of used Pocket as a test subject. But so what ended up happening was,
I guess
if
DD
we open up
dummy isn't broken.
No. If you open up your familiar tab, right, and you see the search bar, back then, if you double clicked on the search bar, you would insta crash.
Mm-hmm.
So I debated Pocket into doing that, and he crashed on stream while showcasing Kane. And the next thing you know, that got fixed like 3 weeks later.
There you go.
So there's a little bit of truth that beam migrators can get something fixed, but I don't think that was like a very indirect way of fixing it. And also, sorry Pocket, but yeah, like it proves that there's a bit of like a little bit of irony there, where that one bug fix that was so random like happened among all the other bugs that still exist in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that if something's crashing you, they really take priority in fixing that.
Yeah. No, crashes are like a big deal. Mm-hmm. That's like an objective, like no, right? So, like they don't want people to crash. But things that are like little, well, they're not little, but bugs that just aren't crashing, like they take so fucking long to fix, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did I say Kane revamp? I meant to say it Kane showcase. My bad. I don't know if I said that or not. But yeah, during the Kane showcase, not revamp.
I see.
But yeah, like that. It all comes down to not enough resources. That's why the balance schedule is so fucked for non-KMS classes. It's unfortunate. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I think we exhausted this topic pretty much.
Yeah, that's fine. So there's just a couple more topics left, and then we'll leave it open to questions. So this is a topic I came up with, and it's downtime on Maplestory. So what do I mean by downtime on Maplestory? So if you guys saw the recent patch, the patch notes and what the upcoming Sunny Sundays are, basically for the next 5 weeks, well, like really like 4.5 weeks at this point, there's not really much going on. Like there's no Starforce event, there's no cubing event, there's nothing really exciting. There's like a 50% honor event and like a 1+1, but nothing really like big that you like spend a ton of money on. So the reason I bring this up is a lot of people always have the question like, oh, what do I even do? And a lot of people like this is like the point where people like quit, or they just like take a break from the game because it's like, oh, what do I do? Like that's it. Like I don't know what to work for. Like now what? So for me, I guess I'll start first. For me, like when I see this point in the game where there's like a downtime, yeah, Kobe just said it. You don't want to think of the game as just within that couple of months. You want to think of this game always as like, this is a very, very long-term game, like a multiple year game. So something like a downtime, you can take advantage of that to do other you could improve other aspects on your account other than just star forcing, for example. Like you could run Oz, you could do more Legion if you want, you could level up boss mules, stuff like that. Like you don't necessarily have to just hardcore farm. Now on the other hand, you could also hardcore farm so that when there is an event coming up, you have the money already, and then while everybody else is panicking and they're all farming, because now the maps are going to be empty, because everybody during these downtime swings, the maps are just completely empty. So you have a pretty good opportunity to farm as much as you can now, and then when the Starforce event is announced, everybody's going to be farming, whereas you don't have to worry about getting a map because you already did all the farming. You could just, go do Oz or something. That's the way I like to look at it. But the main point is to not think of these downtimes as like a reason to quit. And the thing is, like, at the end of the day, like, if you want to quit or you want to slow down, like, that's perfectly okay. But just because there's no event directly coming up doesn't mean you shouldn't still be progressing. So what do you think about that?
When I feel like not to be offensive.
No, you're good.
When I was hearing you talk about that, I really felt that strong sense of, like, that strong energy of like, these things you're saying make sense if this is the only game you play, and this is like the game, the one thing that you spend most of your time on.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
Unironically, like, you're addicted to the game kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think because when you were saying downtime on the Maple, okay, maybe he's gonna talk about like things you can do when you just don't feel like playing Maplestory.
Mm-hmm.
But you were talking about like things you can do to progress your account when there's no like 5, 10, 15 or 30% off, or like Shining Star Force, right? Like the thing is, if we're going the route you're talking about, there's always going to be a need for Meso, because even like 3 to 4 months from now, there's gonna be Shining Star Force, right? From the Ignition event.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you can keep farming every day still. Maybe you don't have to go as hard because there's no immediate event. If anything, like, personally, I would probably just save until Shining Star Force, unless you need to push your gear so that you can suddenly start clearing another weekly boss. Like, if pushing your game means you can start doing C10 Nevers or something, then that would make sense to do it instead of waiting for Shining Star Force, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like Kobe said earlier, like, this game really is just long term. There's very few times where planning for short term makes sense, right? And in these situations, when it does make sense is when you're pushing to be able to clear a boss because you pushed your gear.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been in that road many times before, where, okay, if I push my gear to this right now, I can start soloing Lotus, or Hard Lotus, or Hard Damien, or I can start doing a Chaos Gloom or whatever. Like, most of the time, it is just long term, and because the game is long term, it's why it makes sense to just only do things on event, because they're not that frequent.
Yeah.
And like, there's no. The only thing that sucks when you skip events because you didn't have enough meso, or you feel like you want to save up even more so that when the next event comes around, you're guaranteed to gain something or even be finished if you're really lucky, is because people get FOMO. They see all their friends or other fucking juveniles just tapping their things on event, off event. That like they want in on that action.
Mm-hmm.
They want in on that hype, that gambling on that dopamine hit, right?
Yep.
But when it comes to like Maple downtime, I really think is just it shouldn't. Maple downtime should always be a thing. It should only be when there isn't any events going on.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. There should be downtime. There should be times where you don't have to like sweat as hard. It's healthy for you.
You should always do something that you want to do. You shouldn't force yourself to do something. When it comes in the context of Maplestory, okay?
Yeah.
Like if you don't feel like farming, then you don't feel like farming. Just do something else. That something else doesn't even have to be Maple related. Just literally do anything else.
Mm-hmm. I should have made that clear that what I'm talking about is if you want to play Maple. Like, these are other things you should do. Because, no, you're absolutely right. And this is why, you keep me in check here. Where, like, if there's a downtime, it also is a perfect opportunity to go do literally anything else than play Maple. Because now you're not missing as much. Like, the FOMO isn't as strong. Because that's what it kind of comes down to, right? Like, when is the FOMO? When are the big FOMO points in the game? Shining Star Forces are big FOMO points. So, like, if you miss out, you're going to, like, be like, fuck, man, I missed such a free event. But when there's a downtime, it's like, okay, you could chill out. And yeah, Jared makes a good point. It's like the FOMO does always exist because of like Sacred Force and like, dailies. But, at the end of the day, if you don't want to do them, you don't want to do them. But at least like you're only missing out on that instead of like big events. So
well, I feel like you had a lot more to say. I didn't really have much to say about Maple downtime because I didn't feel too strong about the topic.
yeah, that's
like
fine.
It's as simple as just do anything.
Yeah,
Like
no, I mean, not every topic has to be like crazy in depth, but like I feel like I would address this just because it's relevant. Like I get this question all the time, like because now that during the patch, a lot of people they'll come to me like, what do I do? And like they want to play, but they don't know what to do. And it's just like, these are like some things I would suggest. Like, you could go farm and prepare for the next event because like you said, everything is Meso. It all revolves around Meso. So you could do that, or you could just go do literally anything else you want. You don't have to play this game. So
I think now that we've like mentioned this, something that needs to be said is that there's too many times where people are comparing themselves to people that have just completely different standards from them.
oh yeah, and time, like lifestyles as well.
Yeah, like it's not a coincidence that a lot of the top players in Reboot are people that work from home.
Yeah.
Like it's not a big coincidence.
You just can't beat that. Like at the end of the day, it comes down to hours. The people who have the most hours, like I'm sorry, like they're always gonna be stronger. They're always gonna have some advantage. Like it's just how it is. It's like very simple.
And like when you compare yourself to someone that has different standards, it's like you're just setting yourself up for failure. Like I've had someone like somewhat recently come to me. I said that like I'm full 22 Apsos and I feel like I want to switch to Arcanes. Do you know what the FD difference is if I switch over? And I'm just like I know what they're asking. I know what they're really asking, right? They're asking me for the specific number of how much FD diff is because they're trying to weigh the option is that FD worth it? Like this 500 more hours of farming, is that worth it for me to go to Arcanes for this much FD? And then when I saw him ask like that specific question, I just knew he was just trying to figure out like, is it worth it or not? And that's something that's for him to decide. The only thing that I did to help them realize what they were trying to figure out is I just told them, if your goal is to solo Black Mage or whatever, or do Saren or even do Kalos, you can do that in 22 Apso. Like you don't have to go the arcane route. Like you don't have to submit yourself to farming like a couple hundred more hours, maybe 1,000 more hours to hit 22 arcanes. Or like perfecting your arcane. Like you because they were even saying that, like I was comparing myself to like other people's BAs or full rotation BAs and like, it's not as great as theirs and I'm liberated and they're not liberated or whatever. I'm like, I mean, the best thing I could say was just like, you're comparing yourself to someone that just has a completely different standard than you. Like they have a different goal in mind. They have a different standard for how strong they want to be or what they think their gear should be. So it just doesn't make sense to set yourself up to have just like these negative thoughts. It just doesn't make sense.
No,
And
that's
like,
absolutely right.
there's definitely a lot of people that feel that way too, where they I mean, this just extends outside of the game too. Like when you compare yourself to other people, it's just like, why are you doing that? Right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I get this all the time too. People, they're just like, oh, but this guy's so much stronger than me. How? Like, how? Like, and the thing is, like, these guys already know the answer, right? Like, at the end of the day, they really do know the answer. They just on some crazy copium. Like, they're looking for another way. But, like, at the end of the day, like, these guys just got more time than you. They set a higher goal than you. It's as simple as that. So.
Yep.
People need to learn to be happy just with like where they're at. Like, unless you really are that type where it's just like you have to be the absolute best, then yeah, understand the consequences of thinking that way. So we can move on to our next subject if you're down.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is our last subject, and then we'll open up the floor for questions. So this is another thing that I think is also relevant because, you know, it's September, it's back to school season, and a lot of people are going to be, you know, people work all year round, but, you know, around like this quarter of the month, people are going to be working more. So work-life balance with Maple. So this is like, you know, a lot of you losers in the chat who don't do anything but play Maple, like you're not going to get it. But this is like for future-proofing, okay? Like future-proofing conversation here.
Okay.
Yeah, so what do you do? Like, let's say you're in school and you have classes all day and you want to play Maple. What do I do? Do I continue playing Maple in class or like what do I do? Because now I have less time. I want to be stronger, but I have less time. How am I gonna get stronger? Like, I'm just gonna miss out. I'm missing all these hours that I could be farming. Same with work. Oh, I gotta go into the office 9 to 6 today. All these hours farming. What do I do, man? That's when you gotta ask yourself, like, that's when you gotta come to terms that you're really fucking addicted to the game. If you're starting to think of Maple as like if you start to think of your day as like WAPs, like that's when you're too far gone. Like my day is just broken into WAPs. Like, fuck, I'm at work. I could have done like 4 WAPs. Like that's when you're like really fucked, and you gotta like snap back to reality and be like, you know, there's other things than Maple that are very important. Maple's not even very important, but there's other things that are just way more important than Maple. So unfortunately, like when you have that work-life balance with Maple, at the end of the day, like you just gotta come to terms, like you're probably just gonna be able to do your dailies. And a lot of the times, like back when I was working, like when you come home from work, you're just tired, bro. Like you don't even want to play Maple. Like you just want to like do nothing because you're just fried the whole day. So you just run your dailies and that's it. And I'm here to tell you that it's perfectly okay to do that. Like it's perfectly okay to just do your dailies or not even do them. Like FOMO is real on this game, but at the end of the day, this goes back to the multiple year thing. Like you're going to be playing this game for a long time. There's always going to be opportunities to enhance and always going to be an opportunity to catch up. Like you could feel like shit for not being like at the absolute pinnacle. Like you've never missed anything, but just keep in mind, like look at where people are today. People were the same way with Arcane Force back in the day. I have to have max Arcane Force first. Now look at Arcane Force. You get so much of it. You could do the bosses so quick anyways. Like you don't always have to be at the bleeding edge. Like it's okay to just take your foot off the gas, work on your real life, and not prioritize Maple with everything. Maybe I'm just projecting and I'm talking to myself, but I think, you know, people do need to hear that, especially with people going back to school soon. You need to like realize like it's okay to miss these things on Maple if you're in school.
For sure. I think it's also one of those things where, because I mean, you're obviously targeting the people that are going back, so maybe they weren't working during the summer, or maybe they just had more free time and they just picked up Maple again. But it's one of those things where your environment, or where you know the people you surround yourself with, are going to affect your decisions too, and also kind of fuck with your priority as well, right? Like, because if you're surrounding yourself with people that are end game and they're always going for number one, or they're always at the bleeding edge, like you're saying, then actually you're going to naturally allow yourself to want to do that as well, because it's just right there in front of you. You're like, oh, I want to reach out to it and try to grab it too. Like, you're so entranced in the game that you just kind of don't realize what's happening around you, right? And it's so easy to get lost into something that you've been doing for so long, or something that's just taking up your headspace the entire day. Like you said earlier, like, you're fucked if you are dividing your days into WAPs. Right?
No, I could speak from experience. I would legit think that way. Like, how many WAPs can I fit into my day? Like, that's how I segmented my day into 2-hour segments. Like, that's how you know, like, you're so fucked, like, literally. And you're miserable. You end up being miserable that way. Like, I'm sorry, it's just the truth. You're gonna end up being miserable. Like, you can't think that way.
I remember at the peak of Kana farming, when I was like going fucking hard, because I was still young. I had the ability to just do that, right, and not get punished. Fucking, I remember trying to fit into doing something I needed to do within the duration of domain when I'm at side path. I'm not even fucking kidding.
Yeah.
I'll like fucking I'll hit domain, charge it, and I'll fucking run upstairs to get something, or do the dishes really quick, or do the laundry really quick in the duration of domain. And by the time I come back, domain is just about to end.
Yeah. No,
fucking throw something in the microwave.
Yeah.
Grab the mail. I was like fucking super down bad back then, when I was like trying to be. There was that one point where I was trying to be the number 1 DB in any shape or form, either in terms of gear, or in terms of hands, or in terms of accomplishments. But like, today that's no longer me. That hasn't been me for a long time.
Yeah, it's me. So.
Yeah, because I lit you, right?
Yeah, no, it was always me. But yeah.
Yeah, okay. but yeah, like this game, I mean, just anything can easily consume you if you just don't take the time to just step away and like breathe a little bit, right?
No, easily. The game will suck the soul out of your body, like, immediately. Like, you won't even realize it's happening either. You won't. And it's crazy. And this leads me to like a whole other thing, which kind of sounds mean to say, but I feel like, just in my experience, like, this has helped me a lot. You want to surround yourself on this game. You were alluding to this earlier. If you surround yourself with people that are just degens, they have no responsibilities or anything, you're gonna end up like that, and you will, like, no matter how hard you try. So you need to surround yourself with a well-balanced group of friends, and it will make your life so much better. Like, they will motivate you to do better things in your life. Like, the game won't be absolutely everything. And it sounds kind of weird for me, because I stream and play this game all day, and I feel like I motivate you guys to grind all day. But I really hope that's not the message I'm trying to that you guys are getting out of this. Like, when you watch my stream and you see me grinding, not the message. Like, I mean it's tough because I started streaming in the summer, so it's like I'm grinding all day. But you'll see, like, when I'm back in school, like you're gonna see that shift where I'm not grinding all the time, because I'm sorry, like, you gotta get these priorities first. Like, that's just how it is. And sometimes you gotta reevaluate your friends and who you're hanging out with, because they could honestly end up being your worst enemy. Like, sometimes you think those people are the ones who, like, they got your back, but at the end of the day, like, a lot of times they don't. Like, you're just there because you play a common game, and like, it's just fun to be around them. But not everything is always just about having fun. Like, you need to take a step back and realize, like, you need to set these moving blocks in your life, that as you're growing, as you're getting older, these blocks are growing with you and your life is improving, instead of just being hard stuck on Maple, chronically online, and you're out of touch with reality. Look at Jump, for example. Like, that's what happens. Like, that's literally, I'm not even trying to make a joke. Like, that's what happens when you're just out of touch with reality. You don't take a step back. Your friends are all degens. I'm not talking about anyone specifically, but like, you just end up like, you're just chronically online. Like, that's all you know. You're just out of touch with reality. You need to take that step back. You need to evaluate your friends and see if they're people that actually have a balanced life. Because, I was in that position where all of my friends were just fucking losers, bro. All we did was grind and watch videos nonstop. And it was funny, because it sounds mean, but I was like relatively, well, I still am young, but I was a lot younger back then. and I was like just starting college, like fresh out of high school, and I was with friends who are like in their mid 20s, maybe even early 30s, and all they do is grind. And in the back of my mind, I would think to myself, like, that's not gonna be me when I'm at their age. Like, I'm not gonna be grinding all day. Like, nah, fuck that. Like, nah, like I'm not gonna end up like that. But as years go by and you start to develop like those same habits and you hang out with the wrong people, you like your life goes on quick, and you realize how much time you're wasting. And you that but the thing I'm trying to tell you is, don't ever think that it's too late. Like, don't ever think that you're in a point where like, I'm just fucked, I can't get my life back together, Maple has taken away too much of my life. No, it's not too late. Like, you guys, you can easily take a step back, reevaluate your situation, and just think about what's better for you, because the chances are you guys know what's good for you. You're just so ingrained. It's a habit is like the most powerful thing there is. It's a habit. It's not even, you don't, a lot of people, they play not because they're having fun. It's just a habit. Like, you just are used to waking up and getting on and grinding. But you need to have a balanced life. And a lot of the people that I'm friends with now, they have a balanced life. Like Phil, for example, I'm gonna act, you're gonna say I'm gonna suck his dick for a little bit, but it is what it is. Like, he has a good balanced life. And when you're around people like that, it makes you appreciate your life more and what you could do with your life, and also have fun on the game. So hopefully I wasn't hopefully you guys got what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I
babbling
think
too long.
what you were talking about before, basically, you were basically alluding to just proximity friends or convenience friends.
Yeah.
Like, they're not really your friends. They don't really know what's going on in your life. The only thing you have in common is the fact that you fucking play Maplestory, right?
Yeah.
Like, like at the end of the day, they don't really got your back, but they're there to keep you company because they're just easy access. That's all there is. Like, I'm sure, or actually, I'm not sure at all, but there's a very clear difference between online friends and just friends you actually know IRL.
Oh,
right?
yeah, there is.
Like, it's a whole different dynamic because the way you have history between each other is completely different, right? And there's a bit of what's lost in translation when it just comes to only talking through voice chat. Like, there's a lot of interactions that exist just because you see them in person.
Yeah, no, you're missing out on like so much.
You gotta, it keeps you present. That's like the best way I can explain it. Like, when you're present and you're enjoying the moment and you're like you're taking things as they are, that's happening in front of you, like that's a good thing.
Yeah, and that's not to say that online friends are shit and you can't have good online friends.
No,
you can have good online friends,
for sure.
But a lot of the times, like, a lot of the friends you make online are just convenience friends. Like, you have to come to terms with that. Like, I've seen so many cases, even myself, I've fallen for this case where it's just like, you invest so much into these online friends and you think they're like, those are like that's your best friends and everything. And then it's a one-way street. Like, at the end of the day, like, they were just there for the ride. And then once they're bored of Maple, like, it's just poof, they're gone. And then you're left with nothing. So, I mean, that also leads to, like, you got to invest in yourself too. So you could be happy just on your own. You don't need to, like, you don't need anybody to make you happy. You're just with others to share your happiness together. But, no, it is all about that balance. Like, you don't ever want to put all your eggs in one basket, because, you know, if the basket falls apart, like, you're just fucked. So don't spend too much, don't like hone in on like just like this one friend group that you have, like, or this one like aspect of Maple that you're just trying to like perfect. Like, you need a balance. And especially with like back to school coming, like, it's okay to like just chill out and not worry about these things in Maple. It's okay to like not hang out with your friends on Discord all the time, because, oh my god, especially when I was working at Target, and I was working night shifts every day almost, I would feel the biggest FOMO because all of my friends were always in the VC. I would look at my phone, I'd look at Discord, and I see all my friends in VC. I'd be like, fuck, man, like, I'm so sad. Like, I hate this. Why am I at work right now? And then you like low key try to join their VC on your phone, and then you're that guy on the phone at work, and you're just like a nuisance in the VC. Like, bro, it's not worth it. It's literally like not worth it at all. Like, you can't be that guy where you're just like constantly like looking at Discord and you're like, fuck man, like why can't I hang out with him? Like, no, you need to like take a step back and like realize like you're so addicted to this like online like reality that you have that you need to like realize like that's not you. Like, you're you in real life. The online is just it's just a part of you, but that's not you. You get it? Like, I feel like a lot of people, like, they'll look at their Maple character and be like, that's me. Like, no, that's not you. That's your character in game. That's not you. Like, you are somebody else. You have other responsibilities. You have like a family and friends and people that care about you and all this shit. Like, like, like you can't just like get so sucked in where you're just like out of touch with reality. You're gonna end up like Jump. I'm sorry. Like, he's like at the end game of like going down that route, like you end up like him. You don't want that. It's me. No, it's not you. You guys are people. You're not like Dark is not Dark. Like, no, he is John in wherever the fuck he's from. And me, like, I'm not Dubani. I'm not him Toryu. Like, I'm Hamza from where I'm from. Like, that's who you are. You need to like always get those reality checks.
He's not John, dude. He's Liquid Shadow.
Yeah, he's Liquid Shadow, true. He's not dark skinned.
But yeah, like that. I don't even know if there's anything else to say. I feel like that's a big enough of a wake up call that if anyone ever needed it, there you go. Like, it's crazy. Maplestory has been around for so long. Who's to say that it won't be around for another 20 years? like who? I don't know. But Maplestory definitely should not be your priority. It's. I mean, you choose how to spend your time how you want it. Just know that whatever it is that you do, just make sure you know you're not gonna regret it. That's like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
If you know what it is you're getting into, and you're willing to accept what happens is what happens, and you're not gonna fucking be a bitch about it and regret that you did this, then go for it.
Yeah.
But if you think that there's a slight chance that you're going to regret it, then maybe take some time to think about it.
Yeah. So, the thing is, Maple's like a good hobby. Like, Maple does fit a lot of people's schedules. For example, Daniel in chat was mentioning this. Like, this is why boss mule meta is so good, because you're not really required to just grind 6 hours a day. You could just like one day, like you could just do your bosses for like 30 minutes and then that's it. You log off. Like, that's why the boss mule meta is so good. It's like anti-degen friendly. Like, it's really good. It helps against like degenning. But fuck, what was I gonna say? Yeah, it helps against anti-degenning. But yeah, if you enjoy Maple like as your game, you just gotta, just like any other thing you gotta enjoy, like it all comes down to balance. You gotta have a healthy relationship with the game. It can't be
moderation.
Yeah, it's all in moderation, because at the end of the day, like, you also gotta be like really in touch with the reality. Like, even me, somebody who streams the game, like, some people like to make this argument for me where it's just like, oh, like, you know, you're a streamer so you could play all you want because you're making money. Like, no, at the end of the day, even as a streamer or whatever, like, how many people on GMS are full-time on this game? Literally, like, almost nobody. Like, you have to come to that realization where it's just like, you need a backup plan, or you need something else in your life. Maple can't be the plan. Maple is just a hobby that you do on the side, right? Like, it can't be your main focus in life. It has to be something else, because realistically, it's just not it. It really isn't. Like, you could have fun on the game, but just like anything else you're addicted to, like, you have to do it in moderation.
Here's the thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's obviously different ways you can be full-time on Maplestory. There's the, the streaming route, there's the YouTube route, and there's like the legal route. But despite all of that, like, if you're willing to put
I got it. I was like, what?
If you're willing if you're willing to go through the effort of doing that, then you should realize that you can put in the effort to doing into something else.
Yes, yes, and that something else has more guaranteed returns and is better for you psychologically as well. Like, you got to realize that too. If you're like you're absolutely right. You could make it. You could have a living off this game with all those 3 branches combined. I mean, it would be hard to balance all 3. But regardless, like not all of them go hand in hand. One of them clearly stands out than the other ones. But you could, but like at the same time, like if you're putting like 14 to 16 hours a day on Maple, you could literally do that on pretty much anything else and it will yield a better return and you'll be happier probably. So like why Maple? Like Maple, I feel like Maple needs to like drop down from people's priority list. Like right now it's like here for a lot of people. It needs to just like go down, like legit. And this is about myself as well. Like I'm like speaking also for myself. Like you need to constantly give yourself these reminders. And this is where good friends come in, because you have good friends that they'll give you those reminders. Like you look out for each other. But if your friends are all degens, nobody's gonna be like, dude, imagine you're in a VC and you're all farming with your degen friends and one of them is just like, you know what, guys, I don't think this is healthy for us. I think we need to all like go to the gym, or like I think we all need to like go read a book or something. Like that kid's gonna get flamed harder than he ever got flamed in his whole life, bro. And the funny thing is that kid is the one, he's the one who's right, but like everybody else is gonna make fun of him, and then that kid's gonna feel like shit. Like
okay, but there's a little bit of justification to that. Like this isn't, we can all agree that that guy's not wrong, but at the same time,
there's a right place and right time.
I think it's more of like, if you know they're degens, then what you're doing or what you're saying is just you're just souring the mood for them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't say that, because I don't know, maybe you can give them a wake up call and realize that, yeah, this is kind of fucked. But like that's why those people react that way. Like you're fucking killing their jive. Like I'm pretty sure deep down in their mind they realize that what they're doing is kind of not the best, but they're just kind of playing chicken.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen first? Are they gonna realize that what they're doing is dumb and they're gonna cold turkey the game, or they're just gonna keep going until they can't? Like it's literally playing a game chicken.
That's why you see so many of these end gamers, like they just have this wake. It's because a lot of these end game players, they just suppress and suppress and suppress, and they never like come to terms with what they're doing, and they're just playing that chicken game so long, and then it boils to the point where they just self-destruct. Like you see all these end game players like out of nowhere sold their account, out of nowhere boomed all their items, out of nowhere disappeared, because they just come to that realization where that's a very, very unhealthy way of dealing with things. What if you're constantly having these like reality checks, like every so often you check in with yourself, like, hey, am I spending too much time on this game? Hey, am I, putting enough time into other responsibilities in my life? If you're not, then you come to that realization, it's like, okay, like, I should slow down. And then you'll have this constant like healthy relationship with the game where it'll be up and down, where it's just like, you could whenever you see yourself going up, like in the hours you spend on the game, then you like hit that reality check where you're like, oh, I need to chill out because now all these other responsibilities are like, suffering because I'm spending all this time on the game. And again, that's where your friends come in, because your friends often do give you those reality checks if you have good friends. But if you never have those checks and all your friends are degens, you're just gonna keep going up and up and up and up and up, and then you're just gonna crash eventually. And like this, it's so common. I know so many people that just self-destructed because they never have those reality checks, and they don't know how to deal with their stress. They don't know how to deal with these they don't know how to deal with their addiction. They don't know how to deal with it in a healthy way, because there are ways to deal with it before it gets to that point. They never did it, so they're just fucked, and they just end up self-destructing. So, and the thing is, when you self-destruct, that's not even a surefire way to prevent it from happening again. Even after they self-destruct, a lot of people still end up playing anyways. They'll make a new account or something. Like they'll come back because, again, they never got to the source of their problem. They never realized how to deal with their addiction and how to prevent themselves from being addicted again. They didn't get rid of the addiction by self-destructing their account. They just temporarily set a little roadblock for themselves, but they didn't get rid of their addiction. And that's the real issue. Like, you need to just you need to learn how to deal with your issues, like your addiction. You need to learn how to deal with it in a healthy way.
Yep. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. A lot of people like that you talk to online, like it's crazy. Like a lot of people are going through so much, and you just never know because they're just grinding all day and they don't want to talk about it, but they're going through so much. Like it's okay to dig deep, I guess is what I'm saying. Find things out and like help people out, remind them of things. Very important to have good friends, because they'll keep you in check. Like there's a reason people say like friends are like the backbone of like your life. So good point. That's it. I'm quitting. But yeah, I mean, I think that's basically it on my work-life balance rant. I hope that this was able to help at least one person come like. And another thing is it's not easy. Like when you're in deep, like it is really not easy at all to stop like grinding that hard. Like it's making that transition is extremely hard. Similar to like going to the gym for the first couple weeks, like you're gonna hate your fucking life, or going on a diet, you're gonna hate your life, or stopping smoking, like you're just gonna hate your life. Like literally, you're gonna hate your life until you get used to it. So it's really, really, really hard. Helped me. I need to farm more. Need more balance. No, not that kind of balance. Not like balance on your like savings account. Not that kind. Yeah. I guess we'll leave it to questions. If anybody has questions.
I think there's. I got one more thing to say.
Oh, yeah, one more thing. Okay.
My like random like reality check I get sometimes is when I'll have like a friend who asks me, "Oh, I see you're still playing Maplestory. Like, is that game worth playing still? Should I get back into the game?" And whenever they ask me that, I just get shudders. I'm like, "Oh shit, dude! Like, I've been through some shit playing this game. I don't know if I want to
you
let
get a
them go through that
flashback.
as well." Yeah, I get flashbacks.
You
I'm just telling
literally
them,
get a
nah, don't
flashback.
play it. Like I always tell them I'm playing it because I'm still into deep, and I'm just you know I can't. I'm a sunk cost gamer. That's all. That's as simple as it is.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'll tell them that if you really want to play and you just can't help but like scratch that itch, I'll tell them play for nostalgia, and the moment you're not having fun, just stop.
Yeah.
Like that's
True.
It's as simple as that. Because Maplestory does creep up on you where you suddenly find out you're not enjoying the game anymore, but you're still fucking playing the game.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not like starting to watch One Piece. When you start to watch One Piece, it's perfection from start to finish, okay? Like, don't even try it. But yeah, I mean, hopefully this helped at least one person out there, like legit. You know, re-examine who you're spending time with. Re-examine what you're doing all day. See, I know it's really hard, but try to ask yourself, where am I going to be in 1 year? And do you have these moving parts in your life right now that 1 year from now, you'll be in an even better position because you set these moving parts in your life, like that can help you improve your life? Or if you ask yourself 1 year from now and your answer is like, I don't know. If your answer is I don't know, then like you need to like take a step back and realize like what am I doing? So, but yeah, we'll leave it up to question. If anybody has questions, we'll be here for a bit. If no one has questions, I guess I'll just fucking go die or something in game.
Anyone got door?
Anyone wants a door?
For you, man, is what I meant. This is what I meant.
Oh, true. True. Are you going to expand the cast roster? Only when we feel like we need to. Like, let's say one of our topics is like, what's it like working at Amazon as a data engineer, and you play Maplestory? Then I'll bring Phil on. But nah, that's a very specific thing. how are you going to balance your time when school starts? So for me, I have classes Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't plan to stream or anything at all those days. And the days in between, you know, it's all gonna end up. So the way I balance my time is it just comes down to my priorities. If I have a lot of homework, then I'm just gonna finish my homework, and then whatever time it is after I finish my homework, I'm gonna see like, hey, it's 7 o'clock. Well, by the time I finish my homework, then I guess I have time to stream. But if I don't, then I don't. Right? It's all about just like, you need to be able to let go. Can you carry my mule H Lomian? No. Can I have rank 1 Blaze Wizard when school starts? No. There's no questions because you convinced us all to quit. Good. Is this a weekly thing? No, this is just whenever we feel like it type thing. What's a healthy amount of Maple playtime per day / week in your guys' opinion, assuming good life balance? So I feel like the answer to a healthy amount of Maple playtime is play as much as you can, so long as it doesn't affect any responsibilities. So if you got rid of all of your responsibilities for the day, so you hung out with your wife, or like you went to the gym, you did all your homework, you went to school, whatever, and you have nothing else to do for the day, you could play Maple. Play as much as you want, as long as you have nothing else to do. If you have nothing else to do, then play. That's fine, right? But you know, if you're working on something that needs your time, then do that. Like, literally do that. So it's strictly just, if you have time to play, then you can play without sacrificing any other responsibilities. As long as you have your priorities set, like, you know that Maple's like at the bottom of your priority list, then everything else will come naturally. You'll know naturally that like, hey, I can play Maple today. Some cases, like, you can only play on weekends, then you can only play on weekends. Like, that's just how it is. When is the Santo account review? I've already talked to him about his shit. What do I do about my existential crisis? Literally, like, talk to people about it. You'd be surprised.
Go to therapy. Like, not even like.
Yeah.
Not even kidding.
Yeah, go to therapy. Like, legit go to therapy. Therapy is something that people shouldn't be afraid of, or they shouldn't find it like cringe. Like, and therapy comes in different forms as well. Like, you could get professional help, which is recommended, obviously, right? Like, you know, there are people that help you. So one channel that I recommend on Twitch, I think they're called Healthy Gamer GG. It's this doctor he's like a practice doctor and everything, doctor therapist, but he's also a gamer. And what he does on Twitch is he literally just live streams and talks to people and gives them life advice and how to like balance out their lives. And through watching him, I learned so much about myself and so much about these habits that I have. Psychiatrist, yeah. And that I never knew. And he has such a healthy community of people that just know what you're going through. They have that same addiction and they like help you get out of it. Yeah, he's a board certified psychiatrist. Yeah. How did you meet Santo? You want to tell him how we know each other?
Oh, I think we always knew each other's presence. Just never really crossed paths.
Yep, that's true.
But I just, like, I don't know. I just showed up on stream and just checked it out.
That's literally it. That's literally it. Like, I always knew who he was, because like strong people kind of just know who other strong people are. You just know. And then he just started talking in my chat, and he had good takes, and you know, sometimes like I've made friends with people through chat, like literally, like just people who talk and like they're either funny or they have good takes, like they stand out more, right? So that's it. And then me and Jay talked about like having a podcast, and he seemed like the right fit. So how to make friends IRL? That is a tough one because it depends on like your personality. Like if you're an extrovert type person, like it's easier, right? Like you could just like go and talk to people. But a lot of people are introverted, like myself included. So there is like a wall you have to break to like make friends, and it can be very difficult. Like me in real life, I'm actually like not like how I am on stream, to be honest. Like I'm very quiet in real life. Like I don't really talk that much. But you just have to put yourself out there. As cringe as that sounds, like join like let's say you're interested in like Super Smash Brothers, right? Like a lot of schools have like in their video game club or something, they have like Smash tournaments. Like show up at a Smash tournament one time, right? and like just go play with them. Naturally, you'll make friends that way. So just the way you make friends is by living a balanced life. If you have a balanced life and you're into a lot of different like things, then chances are like while you're like interacting with those different things in your life, you'll find friends who also interact with those things. But if you only like play Maplestory 24/7, you're only gonna have like Maple friends. So, you know, you need to like expand your horizons.
I have a
Hey, go
different
ahead.
take about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I for me, I like to have a different approach when it comes to making friends. I feel like when I've made friends, it wasn't because I had the goal in mind of I want to be friends with this person.
Oh yeah,
I think it's more of like it was more of like there was like something compelling that made me want to talk to them, or the other way around where they wanted to talk to me, and we just started chatting or whatever, or they're like whatever it is that like sparked a conversation. That's like where it usually starts a conversation. Like if you're afraid to talk, then you kind of need to work on that because communication is important. Being able to speak your mind is very like it's the most freeing feeling ever, right? Obviously there's times where you got to consider other people's feelings, but when you can just speak your mind about something and you have the confidence to just say what the fuck it is that you want to say without like obviously like you should understand there's going to be consequences depending on what it is you're saying, right? But not having to worry about like certain things, like, you know, trying to be a people pleaser, like don't do that. You're never going to be happy, and you're always going to find yourself questioning like, who are you? Who am I? If you're a people pleaser,
do not be a yes man.
Like you switch up your face, you switch up your audit, like your personality, your attitude towards the different people you're with. That's fucked. Like,
No,
you're
that's
going to
a
be
big
so
red flag.
confused on who you are, right? So just be yourself, be comfortable, like try to have some confidence with yourself, like because being able to talk to people is like just important, really important, because that's how you're going to be able to figure something out. Like communication is just so important. Even like communication with yourself is important too.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I've met people where it's just like they have a different face in every different VC they're in, and it's like the most cringe thing, and you don't want to be friends with people like that. And so this whole thing like leads to like a confidence thing. Like when because I struggled with this a lot. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like I struggled with my confidence and things that I liked so much because I was belittled a lot. Like as like an Arab, like a lot of my cousins and stuff, they're just like very like they're very different from me. Like they all they do is like they like cars and like fucking all they want to talk about is like girls, like shit like that. And me, like, you know, I play Maple and I like K-pop and I like anime, and it's like very different from like my other family members and like just people in my neighborhood. Yeah, cars, hookah, and soccer, exactly. The Arab trifecta. Yeah, literally. And I'm just like very different, and this is something like I struggled with a lot. And even like talking to like a girl I was interested at one point, like she would make me feel bad over the things I liked. And and at the time, like I would be like, no, I don't like those things, because I was just like insecure in myself. Like, no, I don't like those things in reality. And I realized that made me miserable. Like that made me miserable. Hiding the things that I liked, that made me miserable. Like I hated myself and I hated my life. But like now, dude, all I do is just play K-pop on stream, talk about One Piece all day, and I've never been happier. I've never been happier. Like legit. Like you just have to like accept like this is what you like, and fuck what everybody else says. Like it doesn't matter. Literally doesn't even matter. Yep. Do you see the game's difficulty taking a nosedive, having any unforeseen consequences? The game's difficulty taking like it's getting easier? Hell yeah, it's getting easier. But the consequences of that? I mean, I feel like it's more of just like people are just gonna catch up to the end game quicker, than people are just gonna be waiting for the content. Like it's just like power creep. Like it's just people are just gonna be constantly waiting. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's way better than yeah, I think it's way better this way, because it's more people can get into the game. And you know, when a game is getting easier, it fits your life easier, and it means you don't have to degen as much, meaning you can live a more balanced life. So, Joe, what's up?
So, oh,
Go ahead.
so Sunshine said, "Isn't it normal to have different faces with different people?" To
There's
an
limits.
extent, yes.
There's limits. Yeah, there's limits.
There's limits. Like obviously, if you're at work, you're not gonna act the same way you do with your friends
Yeah,
IRL, where you're just fucking around and you're being a goofball, right? Like there's a time and place for things. You're in a professional setting. You're obviously going to have a different mannerism and attitude towards things you're doing, right? You're going to be more serious. You're going to be more aware of the fact that there's certain things you can't say or do, right? Even if when you're around your parents, you're probably gonna be a little bit different than you are with your friends, right? But like what Hamza was saying, like there's limits, right? There's what I was alluding to more of is like when you are changing the way you address someone or speak to someone or to talk to someone to specifically please them, to make sure that they're happy and that you're just kind of subsiding your own personal feelings to make sure that they're all right, right? That was more of what I was trying to allude to by you're going to confuse yourself for who you are, and like who are you really? What is it that you actually like? What is it what are the things that define you as you, right?
Or pleasing others. Like I've seen this all the time where it's just like you're friends with somebody, and then there's like let's just say there's a girl in the VC, and then your friend starts acting up, and your friend just like constantly talks shit about you to try and impress this girl. Like shit like that is just shitty behavior. Like those aren't real friends. Like those are just like shit friends. Like it's just toxic. Like you don't want to be around that. Another thing that I thought of going back to like the whole friend thing. If you want to make friends, the first step is with yourself. Like you yourself need to be a good person and a good friend, and that alone will make you such a more appealing person to be around, and people will want to be friends with you because you yourself are a good person. Things like honesty, integrity, being trustworthy, those like attributes that you work on yourself, it'll make you have good genuine relationships with people. But if you're somebody who's just like a snake, or you're like you just lie all the time, and here's the thing about lying, there's no reason to lie ever. Like there's literally no reason to lie ever, unless you're a Nightwalker main. Like lie what your main is. Like I don't want to hear it. Like just stop. But there's no reason to lie, because let me put it this way: if you always tell the truth, then you're never gonna have to remember what you said. You get what I'm saying? Like like if you just tell the truth, then that's it. Like you don't have to worry about anything. Like that's just who you are. What you said is like the real deal. Like there's no consequences. There's no consequences with telling the truth. It'll always make you a better person. So always be truthful, have integrity, be trustworthy, and you'll make friends. So you will. Like you 100% will. But if you're just like constantly trying to one up people, or you just like make shit up just to like try to get some sort of clout, you're going to end up like Jump. And you don't want that. And I keep going back to it because he's like just the worst outcome. And you don't want that.
Man.
The difference between lying and not wanting to be rude. Yes. No, there's a big difference. Lying. The thing with lying is there's like no reason to lie. The thing with not wanting to be rude, that's just like respecting how somebody feels. But you could also tell them the truth in a respectful way. Like you don't have to be like, if somebody smells like shit, you don't have to be like, bro, you smell like fucking shit. Get the fuck out of my face. Go home right now, like you nasty ass motherfucker. You don't have to say that. Be like, you could be like, hey, do you want a piece of gum? Right? Like there's two different ways to like say these things.
Do you want a piece of gum though?
Honestly, yeah, but I didn't think it would be appropriate. Do you want to use my deodorant? Hey, do you want to go take a shower?
Together?
How's gum to make you smell better? I guess I meant like your breath, Hey, ever heard of a shower? Why can't the boys go to the bathhouse together for real? Yo, for real. Hey, wanna not smell like shit? Oh yeah, so this is kind of another topic, but I feel like I want to talk about it just because Mashu said the whole deodorant thing. Guys out there, don't underestimate how important it is to smell good, especially when you're with girls, okay? Or like you're trying to get a girlfriend or something. Please make sure you're on top of your hygiene. That alone is like most of the work. Like good hygiene, good personality, not a degen, you will have a successful relationship probably. Like there's a higher probability. I come out smelling like I just finished a 20-hour farming session. What is wrong with you? Make sure you get a bidet. Yes. Yes, bidet is mandatory. Wait, does anybody else have any questions? Keep deodorant, gum, and flossers in my car because I can't be caught lacking. Bro, you're already married. Like, what are you even worried about? How many waps can I do while I'm talking to said girl? 0. What's your favorite cologne? Axe, because I'm a fuckboy. JK.
That just reminded me. Have you seen that Reddit thread on Maple where it's like, guys, how do I tell my girlfriend that I'm on a totem?
Oh, I think I have. Bro. Cringe.
Guys, how do I tell my girlfriend I just don't want to talk to her for 2 hours because I'm on a totem?
Bro, the thing is, you can still talk to her. You can still talk to her. Like, I don't know, bro.
I can't even tell if they're being serious or they're just making fun of people, but that shit's fucking hilarious.
What happens if your gamer diet? What happens if your gamer diet doesn't let you get enough fiber so you can't get a bathroom break during domain? When you shit your pants or something, I don't know. They know when you're farming. Bro, they know. My mom knows as soon as I'm doing anything. Like, she knows when to gank me. Is getting Meso obtained on your main the first thing you should queue for? Yes, it should be. Anyone else have any questions or we're done here? I'll take one more good question. What's the tummy tech? I can't leak. How do you guys feel about the totem meta to grind levels or the mindset around it? I mean, it's literally the same as like... Actually, it's worse than 2PC Kish meta. Because now it's like, gather as many accounts as you can meta. Which, like, is just annoying.
I mean, we kind of touched upon it on our first podcast about, like, totems.
Oh, yeah, we did. I mean, they could watch that. Yeah, we did talk about that. What's your future in streaming going to be like? I mean, it's the same as it's always been. Like, I stream for fun, honestly. I don't see it as a job or anything. I just stream because I'm online anyways. But you guys have... The thing is, you guys have only seen me in my summer mode. So back to school, like, I'm just not going to be streaming as much. Like, it's just as simple as that. And then when I have more time, I'll stream more. Will you ever tell new people you meet IRL that you stream/YouTube? Yeah, why not? I'm not afraid of it. Would you get any KMS players on in the future? Yeah, Kobe. Wearing black or white undies? I think they're gray. When are you getting Kimpef on the podcast? Literally never.
Damn.
But yeah, I mean, I think this is a good time to end.
I agree.
What do you think? Yeah, I think it was a good podcast. You going to be more active on Twitter? Yes, I will be. I wanted to post something today actually, but I forgot. Oh, go ahead.
There was one topic that we didn't go over, but it's like we can always do that for next time. But the topic was...
Oh, really? Did I skip something? Really?
Rest bonuses.
Oh, I did. Wait. It's because it wasn't in the outline. My bad. But
it's okay.
We could always talk about it next time. It's not like...
Yeah.
That's going anywhere.
Whenever next time is, I don't know. Maybe Halloween.
Probably before then, but yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for watching us. Podcast will be on YouTube if you missed any of it. So yeah, check out my YouTube channel. Go follow Tummy's Twitch. I think he's been low-key streaming sometimes as well. I think, right?
Yeah, I just like I don't have a schedule. I just pop in here and there when I feel like it.
Yeah, so
That's
go
all.
follow him. Cause you know, you guys know what I do. I don't do shit. I just level Lara really fast. But yeah. Is podcast weekly? No, it's just whenever like we feel like it. Does YouTube podcast have timestamps? Yes, it will have timestamps. The last episode had timestamps, so this one will as well. Thanks for the podcast, dude. We got you. Were you guys being efficient and grinding while you did this? No, I'm literally just standing in Henny. I did my dailies though, but I'm just standing in Henny.
Yeah, I was just looking at my talking points just to make sure I said what I wanted to say.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Everybody have a good night. And tomorrow I'm going to stream. And it'll be my last stream before school. So, yeah. Hopefully tomorrow will be a good stream. I'll see you guys next time. Who am I rating? I'll rate Jeff. Jeff's the, you know, Jeff's my go-to. Bye, guys.
Toodaloo.